all the world to hear. All right, welcome. It is June 2nd, 2026, and it's time for us to begin this committee of the whole meeting. We have here in person 4 of our council members. We have myself, Vice Chair Wignall, we have Councilmember Shelton, and Councilmember Harris. We expect to have Councilmember Jacob online, and we'll let you know when that happens. Council members Lamb and Whitelock have been excused from this meeting. And today we'll be discussing more of our budgetary needs. But before we do that, you know what? I feel empowered and urged to tell you.
Or required.
I wanted to make it seem like it was my own free will. In case a lot of you don't know this, I want to tell you a little story. It's a story about House Bill 236. It passed in this year's legislative session, and by doing so, placed new requirements for taxing entities considering a property tax increase. Now, while not required, the city is choosing to follow a best practice from the Utah League of Cities and Towns, which recommends including the property tax impact schedule as a separate agenda time in any meeting the fiscal year 2027 budget is discussed. This work session right here will include a discussion of the budget, and the city is considering a property tax increase. The council accepted the property tax impact schedule at the May 5th council meeting, and it is currently available to the public. This item is for the benefit of the public and does not require any action by council. Any recording or other use of this without express written consent of Major League Baseball is prohibited. With that, we will now go on to item 2B, discussion fiscal year 2027 tentative budget. We will have members of our department heads, and it looks like we are joined by Corey to get things going and tell us what's going on in his world.
I can't until I get a slide because I have no idea.
I think there was like 30 slides before yours.
So we have quite a few slides under public services, quite a few different departments. Start with our services administration, which right now is myself and our admin, Katie Valerie. We strongly, I see, endorse the request for a customer services representative at the Public Works Building. Our admins, myself, Brian Clegg, and then Greg Davenport, spent a lot of time doing customer service. We've been working with IT. They're averaging a little over what we can calculate about 1,500 customer service calls a month, and that doesn't include their cell phones and the Teams calls that they get as well. And then also Cindy from customer service also comes out 2 days a week, but it doesn't include those calls. So we're anticipating they get around 2,000 calls probably with those, close to that every month. So a lot of that is time not helping us, whether it's with contracts or inventory purchasing, a lot of this stuff that they have to do. So we strongly support Denise and her request for that. We just wanted to point that out. Any questions about that at all, or?
Yeah, I'm not all the way warmed up yet. That part-time person isn't budgeted here though.
So there's 2 requests out of my department. One is a passport office, and that's where the 2 part-timers are given up for the full-timer.
So the part-timer at Public Works is under your.
The current part-timer that serves out there a couple days a week, yes.
Got it.
There was a lot of discussion beforehand, and Tanvi said, I can offer a part-timer. I can't do it permanently because that part-timer comes back when we get too busy in City Hall. But occasionally she'll sit out there and help with some of those phone calls, and that's where they were like, ooh, this is what we need full-time. So they came to Tangi with the request, and I endorsed that request, and we put it in to ask for budgeting. But it was a request that actually came out of the Public Works Building from those directors. We're just supporting it as well.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Can we go back to that?
What's that?
Can we go back to
Oh, yeah.
that? I'd just like to say I'm in support of it. I think when you think about the customer facing side, the taxpayer facing side, and I just want to speak in support of it to the fellow council members.
No, and I agree. I've talked before about my goal for the city is to do what's best for the city and what the city needs. And oftentimes what the city need is not get us under budget, it's make sure we have what we need. And people in my opinion, people may complain about a couple dollars here or there, but they'll complain more if they can't get service. And it takes too long to get things, and we can't do other things because we're dealing with this. So to kind of echo Councilmember Shelton's words, that's, where I am on this. If it's something that's in the long run going to help out citizens, then it may not help you as a citizen at this particular moment. But 6 months down the line, you may need a phone call and you get frustrated because you can't get somebody.
Can't get through to anyone or something.
Right, and then you're gonna go, oh, man, yeah, I would have given up a couple of dollars to make sure I don't deal with this. So continue.
And Denise can correct me if I'm wrong. It's not just to help alleviate our admins, but also if you look at the growth on the west side, a lot of people still like to go in person for that customer service. Right now, they have to drive clear to
Right.
City Hall. So on the west side, this is providing that.
So it serves the west side.
Yeah, so if people that can't, whether call in or but need to come in person. So right now, they're still coming in person and our admins are helping and redirecting. It's a lot of times.
Sure, my district is good, but
Yeah.
Okay, cemetery. We do have an annual software fee that went up a little this year as we've improved our software out there greatly. As you can see now, you can scan a QR code and it'll take you, we don't have to have staff walk you to your site. It'll take you right to where you want through GIS coordinates. And
I didn't know that.
really customer service friendly. Yeah, we've got signs up at the cemetery. It was implemented, I think late fall. I could be wrong on that.
Is that through City Works?
No, it's through a whole different system. So we tried through CityWorks and it wasn't possible. So that's why we got this new annual software fee. So
Zach is online.
we would like to announce right now, it is 6:10 and Councilmember Zach Jacob is online now.
And one thing I do want to highlight, this upcoming year, so we have planted a large, about a 20-foot, I want to say it's a fir tree, right along 78th South in the cemetery, and we're gonna get power and light it up as a Christmas tree there, and we're gonna have a box with free ornaments for people throughout the Christmas time to be able to come and write rest in peace or whatever they want, a note to a loved one on the tree. So that's just something cool that we're gonna be doing this year.
It's on the grounds of the cemetery.
Live tree?
That's a live tree, yes. So it's a beautiful, you'll see it there now. It's got a couple of stakes in it. Can't miss it, it's gorgeous, so.
And this is all the indirect costs that you have?
Yep.
That and the software?
I wanted
That's
to
why
ask,
you see that jump from 52,000 to 92,000.
Right.
The annual fee for software was there, and then there also the risk management fee was in there. So we just wanted to make sure that you knew that jump wasn't directly related to just something. It was moving some of the cost to the cemetery from risk management and then adding some of that software there. But all the other costs are really consistent, honestly.
Sure. All right, thank you.
in past budget sessions, I recall some discussion of possibly needing to raise the cost of burial and plot, purchase of a plot and that kind of thing. Is that still in the works? Is that-
We
that
just
wasn't
did our,
part of it?
with the columbarium, and I can get back, I wanna say we did adjust those rates at the same time, but I could be mistaken, so I can find out. I know we're fairly low on the low end, but the hard part is there's not a whole lot of space available right now, and so
How is
there's not a ton to
the,
sell out, but.
such a weird question to ask, but how is the capacity of the columbarium?
Oh, what, as far as how has it grown or
No,
how many
just,
people, or what does it hold?
yeah, like what percentage of it? I mean, it's like I said, this is weird.
Oh, how many people are already using it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's what you're
And
asking.
then how many,
I'll have to
And
find
then
out.
how
I
many
don't know.
more can?
I'm just wondering, do we need another one?
Not at this point, no, it holds quite a bit,
Yeah.
and I have those numbers, sorry, yeah, I had those last year, but.
Has it been something that once it was announced, we've seen?
Oh, yeah,
You know,
a lot of interest, we have quite a few, and I can get numbers, I don't know off the top of my head how many per week we average, but still a new thing that we just, again, it was late fall that got put out, so. I
Yeah,
can get the numbers and get to you.
I've kept meaning to ask about that, how it's being received, so.
Yeah. And we do know, I mean, through the conferences and just throughout talking with our counterparts, cremation burials are very much on the rise. Just with the costs, it's a much lower cost option, so it's a growing, it outpaces now in the state of Utah, but I believe it outpaces regular burial deaths, so rural cemeteries, so.
I have a question for Denise. Can you expand on the risk management piece?
Sure. So, risk management for the premiums for workers' compensation, unemployment, as well as premiums for property insurance and the insurance for equipment, et cetera.
Okay.
It used to be just expensed in the general fund under non-departmental, and it was one big number. So if you looked in the previous year, it would say like $1.3 million of payment to the risk management from the general fund. However, we recognize that a lot of risk management isn't like my department. I don't have hardly anything that would be under risk management. It's typically public works, police, fire, those kinds of things. So this year, we created an allocation method based on claims, based on what they own, based on the insurance premiums, and distributed it to the different departments.
Okay.
So it's equal to what it was before, it's just shown in different places.
Okay, because it's distributed.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
It shows the true cost of the services this way a little bit better.
Okay, yeah, because
When it's one lump sum and non-departmental, you don't understand what the true cost of operating the cemetery includes, because the risk portion of it's buried.
it's just that $40,000 jump, and I realize there are other things involved. I'm like, okay, I wanna know.
Yeah, like half that jump is really a transfer from non-departmental. It's all general fund dollars though.
Okay,
And then about 18,000 of it is the SEM site's annual fee.
thank you.
Thank you.
Should I go?
What's next on your
Slide.
tour?
The fun one, they're all fun.
Events.
Events, so we are requesting, we currently have a intern, part-time that seasonal intern that helps us throughout the season with our number of events and a lot of the planning that goes on in the winter time. We have requested to make it just a year-round part-time position. It also helps a lot of our event staff, in case you don't know, they do all of our field scheduling, so all of the youth recreation leagues is run through the events division as well.
That's what the intern does?
It's one of our full-time positions,
Oh,
that's
I
right.
see.
And now with the addition of the arts building, it's year-round as well, and it's run through there, so we're just asking for that seasonal intern to now be a part-time year-round position. So that's what that request is for. And then also beat days, so. Probably lots of questions on beat days, so I don't know how.
Let me also expand on an intern to a part-time position. While there's no cost difference because it's 1,040 hours, it's used differently, right? You can hire an intern for 4 months and work them full-time. Or you can hire a part-time person and work them 20 hours a week all year long. And that's what Corey was asking for, is someone that can be there consistently throughout the year and know they have a consistent position versus, hey, you're here for 4 months for full-time.
You didn't like the 3 interns to spread out across the year plan? Just, once they're done, you toss them
Right.
away?
You get 4 months and you're out, 4 months and you're out.
No, I
You
like
just got
someone
one
who,
4-month period, and so we're just transitioning that to a consistent 20-hour a week.
I think a lot of people look at interns as a great way to go, but someone getting paid by the city, I think, puts a little more effort into
Yeah.
it and has more stake, skin in the game, so. And so the jump from 803,000 to 903,000, that's the 100,000 for beat days?
Yes, correct.
So you're basically keeping the exact same budget from last year for
Yep.
your events.
If
just
there's a
adding
few
more.
events we're either gonna not do as often for some cost savings, or possibly gonna discontinue, such as the crafts and cravings and some of these smaller events, so we can focus on these larger events, and we'll also shift that money a little bit to the beat days. But it's also our goal with it before beat days is to get as much sponsorship as possible, but that's just something we can't show. It's hard to get sponsors for an event that's not approved or planned really yet,
Right.
so that's our goal is to cover some of that, or I mean, I'd love to say all of it with sponsorship.
Well, we will be looking at, as that goes, that's one of those events that can make money as well.
I think too that this $100,000 is kind of that ramp up, right? You've gotta be able to advertise an event, get your word out as to what your vision is for the event, and that kind of thing before the event occurs. But the event's scheduled for August of 2027, so there'll be some investment at the beginning to get the word out, social media, advertising, and then also purchase of some equipment that will support that event. But the actual cost of the event, once it's like the cost for contracts or services or vendors or that kind of thing, that won't happen until 2028. So this may not, we don't even know what it looks like yet, be like, it might not be the full cost of an event. This might just be the ramp up to get to the event. And then we need to establish when we have developed next year's budget, what does it really look like to really lift this event all the way up without a lot of sponsorship? Because you're gonna have to do your first one without too many sponsors. And then Corey can like start hitting the ground hard with sponsorships and you know, food sales and those kinds of things that we can have some cost sharing in. But there's gotta be some investment up front for us to prepare for the August 2027 event.
And one thing I would like to talk about, cause this is probably one of the things that's, if people come to public comment, this is likely to be the one. We've already received at least one
Yeah.
email.
We've got some.
And so this could be the one that gets the most, and it is about a fifth of the increase. So what I'd like, so this is something that we as a council could look at and how we handle this a little different. So and probably a mistake for you, explain to the council what might be a pros and cons of if we took that 100,000 and instead of having it in the budget and the tax increase, make it part of a residual kind of thing where we just take the money and take it out of the budget, but still have the money. So give us a little bit on that if you would.
So you have plenty of reserves in the general fund. That wouldn't hurt the reserves too much, right? To take it out of reserves and not actually budget it as a tax increase or as an ongoing revenue increase, especially not knowing what that will look like overall. You could fund the first year of the event in 2028 using some of your reserves as well until you got to the point. That's your pro, right? You could bring that tax increase down. It would save about $1.79 per household to take this event out of the property tax impact schedule. And it would take it out of the public hearing piece, right? As soon as you took it down and said, hey, we're not willing to give this up. We're not quite willing to put it into a property tax increase yet. So you could say, our decision is to fund it, but our decision is to fund it with reserves and not do a property tax increase. So there's a pro there in that you've listened to the public, you've heard comments about it. You don't quite know what it is yet, so do you wanna pull an ongoing revenue stream for that event yet, right? The con is that if it becomes a large event, something that is expected by your public, or you feel like as a community identity resource, this is a good event to have, it might cost $350,000, right? The Western Stampede is pretty expensive. Are you willing that year, like if you could probably do this and maybe even the first full year, but after that, you're gonna need to be pulling a trigger that says, we're willing to do a property tax increase to lift the full amount. And sometimes that becomes sticker shock to your constituents, right? They're like, what do you mean we're doing an event for $350,000? This is kind of ramping it up and saying, hey, we're gonna start with $100,000 and see how far we can get, what kind of sponsorships we can get, what kind of revenue this brings forth, that kind of thing. And you don't have to lift, if you have to lift again, quite as much. So the pro is, you could take it off now, but you would end up likely having to do it in the future unless we had another ongoing revenue stream that would fill that gap.
Wouldn't we have to raise taxes to the 350,000 anyway? So like either way, we have to do
that was kind of my question.
It's a smaller raise if you've already raised it 100,000 this year,
Yeah,
then you're only raising it 250 if you
Okay.
the total you need is 350, right?
I see.
so I guess it's depending on your financial strategy, right? If you wanna lift a little bit at a time, which has been our strategy ongoing, right? To just gently lift that tax up, so there's not as much of a burden on the taxpayer. But
Yeah.
what does that look like, right? Do you take away the event, do you put it into reserves, or do you use reserves, or do you lift a little bit at a time? And that'll be your decision.
This was the kind of thing I wanted to bring up in the council. This is something that we have if we feel suddenly we need to. My hope is we don't need to worry about it or concern ourselves with it. The one thing it does do is it would, by doing that, it would take our tax increase below the 2% mark. I think if
Sorry,
we,
by doing.
$100,000,
Take it out of reserves.
yeah, out of reserve. I think if we took out 50 and halved it, it put us almost right at 2%, pretty close to that, right? So that's something, I would say it's not something you might look at on the, on the 9th, if there is a big hullabaloo about this.
Yeah.
That is a hard thing, but it is a thing where, this, you said about $1.79 per household
Right,
is what this tax increase does.
For the whole year.
for the whole year.
On average.
For just this, our tax increase is gonna
Half
be
of
a little
32
under
ounce steak.
$9. With what we have, the whole thing is a little under $9, where like I said, this is close to a fifth of the budget. This is, $1.80 per household, which maybe if we told everyone if you come to Beat Days, we'll give you a coupon good for $1.80 worth of beets.
Okay.
Not even sure what that looks like, but yes, Corbin.
Sorry, council, just a reminder also, from the retreat, this stemmed from the discussion at the
Right.
retreat in January. And the plan in the summer of 2027 is we ramp down some of the Western Stampede activities and shift them out to beat
Right.
days. So it's not
Oh,
keep doing everything we're doing at Western Stampede and add beat days. This is a little bit of a shifting, moving the carnival from the Western Stampede out to beat days, moving some of the other ancillary activities from Western Stampede out to beat days. Western Stampede would still be the rodeo, the parade, the fireworks, probably some
Market, there'll still
concert.
be vendor fairs, it's still be there.
But a lot of the stuff is a shift, not wholesale new.
And then the people who are going, where's your carnival? Just you wait, it's
Yeah.
a week later.
Yeah.
I would like to say too, one thing I do, and we brought this up a little bit back in our retreat, but it's come a little more to the forefront now. An event like this out in the West and in a different thing, and I think not being tied to the rodeo, which makes it look like we're doing more, we're kind of doing the same, but now it has more of a look of more, and especially in another location with the city. I think it gives us a better look as a city, and we've, been talking about economic development. I think this kind of thing starts showing, potential businesses coming in, all these events that are going on, trying to have them all at one time. Not only does it tax our events team, but it just kind of makes it a,
Kind of dilutes it too, right?
yeah. Yeah, it kind of, now we can separate, we can do these things. I think also what I like, and just to make sure, I don't think anyone looked at the carnival as a pride of West Jordan. But a Beat Days is something we can own and have pride in, that this is our, every other city has a something days. We have this plus the Western Stampede, and I think it kind of gives us something that maybe we can even start looking as this being more our signature event, even more so than the rodeo. Because this could be, like I said, West Jordan centric instead of Western Stampede, which only has part of West Jordan in its name.
I'll point out some of the other reason for the cost increase stemming from the retreat, we'd heard about beat days, but also council expressed a lot of interest in music, getting more music acts. We've done that, we've reached out. Music is expensive though. It's some of the most expensive part of throwing these events, especially if you're trying to get bigger acts. And so we're starting with small and hoping to get some local acts, but our hope is as the years progress that it could be a bigger event where we're wanting to get some bigger acts and bigger bands, but that would be just more money.
And I would agree, you start smaller. I've talked about before, I'm on the Arts Council in Midvale. I have a budget of like $10,000 to do 9 concerts.
It's gotta be hard.
I was gonna say.
No, it's pretty easy.
It could, yeah.
Really?
Because you know what I do? I go to, they were trying to bring in bands from all over, and they would go, this is the biggest band in Colorado Springs. And I was going, that has nothing to do in Midvale, Utah. So we just started getting Utah bands and I would go, I've got this much if you want it. And the bands would go, okay. You know, I went that way. And that sounds really chintzy, and especially from a guy who lives in the arts and that, you know, it sounds like you know, but a lot of these guys
You
are
get
doing,
lesser quality bands that way, or?
no, I think we get some pretty,
We have a.
Just bands
We can
before they
get
hit
some
it
local
big.
bands for, yeah, like you're saying, but if you're wanting, like, for example, this year at the Stampede, we have a Taylor Swift cover band. And she, for that cover band was just north of, I wanna say 10,000.
They're in their own
Yeah.
business.
So there are some, and there, to get some other local, Salamanders is a big local Utah band and they're around 40,000.
see, and
So-
I'm getting bands that will get up, we've got our own guy who lives right in my district, James Romero.
Yep, he's great, he's
For
great.
$1,000,
Yep,
I
He
can
comes
get
to
him,
the first free.
and he brings like 400 people because he has this huge family and connected kind of thing. And he'll play forever. I've got other bands for about $1,000 each, and they'll have people dancing the entire concert. It's, to me, it's not the name of the band. It's that I only look for bands to put on a show. I don't want a band that's just gonna put on whatever they were wearing at noon, and that's still what they're wearing to come to the concert. We'll do, and I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that that's something where I think we can look at.
Yep.
And you lean into it. And again, I don't wanna steal exactly everything I just did at Midvale, but we built it as a Best of Utah concert. So it's all, and that's the other thing that we were able to get the bands to do. You wanna be considered one of the best of Utah? Be on this poster that says you're a part of the best of Utah. I also made them bring their own sound and sound person, so our AV costs went way down off of that. So I think there are things that we can do in that, and I'm willing to sit down and help you with all of that, and tell you all the bands that I deal with, cause I turn away about 25 bands every year that will do the show for less than $1,000. So, all right,
Corbin, thanks for the reminder that this was a shift.
that we did ask for this.
Yeah, no, I did remember that we asked for it. I did remember that we asked for it. I also just wanted to say that I think it's smart for us to do something out on the west side.
Yes,
That's where our city is really growing, so that's great.
Any questions on this one or?
no, I think that, I do think this will be the one though that we'll have to be,
What would
We're
you
happy to
say,
help with any
Corey, what
answer.
would you say when you're asked and someone seems to be sort of doubting the value of
What
of
events?
beat days or of any event really?
Yeah, it's
Is
hard.
there, I mean, you think about this professionally and you've got the data and you know, what advice do you have for us?
So to me, it ties all to that city identity and then whether you want to feel that sense of community, because that's really the only way you can do it. And especially to me in the growing west side, it's a perfect opportunity as, hey, we now have kind of our own event out here and it's a younger part of our population. So our hope is that they'll look to it as, now they're becoming a part of West Jordan, but they'll also want to volunteer and help out it and make it bigger so we can save some of those costs. But I know events is tricky because it's not a need. You don't need to have them. But to me, it all comes back to just that sense of pride in your community. And it can, if you build it right, and I don't know how to measure those dollars, it'd have to be Jim Grover. But if you do events successfully, it can have an economic development impact on the local gas stations and restaurants. And so that'd be some of our hope.
I would agree. I do think when you say we don't need events, I do think we need events.
I do too, but I'm saying, but
Yeah,
I
no,
strongly think.
And there are gonna be plenty of people who say, I never go to the events.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
It's on them.
You know what, I don't
Yeah.
drive on probably 60% of the roads here in West Jordan. That doesn't mean that you should only pave the roads I drive on. You know, we're a city and we need that, and I do think that events, like you said, the economic development that comes from that. And that's why I love the idea of beat days, because I think it shows we're taking pride in our city. I think that's something that will appeal to people looking to place a business in West Jordan.
It'd be nice if we could quantify it and say, yeah, well, you know, beat days increased sense of community by X% and
There is that new capability. Jim will have to explain it. There's a software that we have that It'll tell you, like if an event went on, it'll tell you where they went after,
Mhm.
lots more information. It's great, where they came from to get to the event, and so you'll be able to show those types of information. Yeah, we're just learning it from Jim because we'd like to do that.
It's a little thing called Big
All our
Brother.
partners. Yeah. It's kind of scary.
It's really
Is that what
cool.
those black helicopters
It's
are?
made by Skynet.
It is crazy, but yeah, so we'll be able, after we do the first event, we'll be able to have
Yeah,
some of
no,
that.
I like this, but I do think, like, I just wanted to make sure as a council knew if we felt we needed to do some kind of thing, that's an area we could look at.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks,
Mhm.
Cory.
Facilities, just a couple, one thing to highlight last year, say we used to, for you council members, I don't know if you knew, but we contracted out our custodial services for quite a few years. Last year, we proposed just with the same dollar amount, bringing that staff in-house, and we call them they're for our facility services representatives team, because we have them doing a little more than cleaning, they help with setups, and it's been actually fantastic. I think other people could say it's been better than the contracted services, and we're getting more work out of it than dealing with the contractor, so it's been a real good bonus for us. So thank you for approving that last year.
You're welcome.
Was it smart?
Any questions on facilities? Sorry.
No, I've got no question.
Parks, so here is a long budget with parks. In 2026, we got a lot of some new parks equipment, which we appreciated. We got a back trailer that helps speed up a lot of our work, and we were able to show that at our community outreach event night. We are asking for an additional full-time parks maintenance worker due to the growth, particularly on the west side, primarily at Ronwood Park. This is where that employee would be working. We've had to repurpose some of our other employees because as we gain more developments, there's more park strips, there's more space that needs maintained. So all that, little by little, is added up. But now by adding Ronwood out there and the growth of the Wills Park, we are asking for an additional full-time parks worker. We're also asking for a parks planner. Currently, I have a parks project manager. He right now has 19 projects that he's overseeing. According to the project management standards, a good project manager can handle about 4 to 6 moderate projects and 2 to 3 small a year. So he's got a lot on his plate. So the planner is going to help with a lot of our development, the design work in the parks project, so that Tyler's able just to, the parks planner will do the RFPs, the contract work with purchasing and Joe on getting that created, and then Tyler as our project manager. Once it's awarded, he'll be the boots on the ground work. But a lot of the focus as well is on park strips and streetscapes. We've heard one of your priorities is city aesthetics, and that's a lot of city aesthetics is park strips and the roadside weed management and the open space that everybody drives by. And we have a lot of different designs of park strips. So we have some park strips that the trees are watered by the homeowner originally, and so that is no longer a good practice, and so we have to completely redo those park strips. But that all the time that takes design, it takes planning, and we don't have people that really do that. So but we're getting to the point as it grows, we need to have somebody that can design those park strips, hold people accountable on standards, but then we can have the plans ready to start improving all those park strips. Especially we're doing a lot of flip the strips, again, which requires, in order for us to have somebody come and remove sod in a large strip and change the irrigation, requires design. So we usually have to hire somebody for that, but now we'll be doing a lot of that kind of work with this planner, so. And as part of that request, we are giving up, you'll see, I'm saying we'll give up 3,120 seasonal hours to help cover the cost of some of that position. It's my belief, we have a lot of our management, especially in parks, they are doing a lot of administrative work, helping me with administrative that the planner can do. And so I believe with our seasonal staff, we haven't managed them great because it's hard, 34 square miles. Sometimes you don't even see them. And so that we can have them not managed really effectively and working productively like they should. So we believe that, that by giving up those hours and getting a planner, our managers will be able to get out and train more and spend more time and improve the efficiency of the department. So
Sounds like a lot of hours to give up.
it's about 3 seasonal positions. And one of those seasonals is we actually used this last year. We hired our first public services intern, a seasonal intern, and she's been phenomenal. She's helped to do quite a few designs that we're going to be working on. As far as she's helped other departments, and so it's been a success. So it'll be awesome. Just one of those positions that one of those 3 seasonals will be kind of just back, so really it'd be 2 seasonals. if
You
that
don't
makes
see a
sense.
dip in
Service levels.
service provided?
Nope, I honestly hope it'll improve our service.
Makes us
that we
feel
provide.
bad,
I've
we've
done-
been paying for
I did a similar
3,000
reorg.
hours.
Yeah, I did a similar reorg at the last organization I was at, and we saw, our productivity increased actually quite a bit, just by, when you have, a few administration, team members and a lot of staff spread out, you're running around, and you're not doing enough training, you're not effectively, you're not doing, so I really believe that, I think it'll improve our efficiency. Yeah, I don't think it'll drop at all.
A full-time parks planner and, not that, I just wonder, at some point, do you go, well, all our parks are planned?
No.
Good day.
That's a great point. No, that is a great point. So currently we have, we've been working with the National Recreation Parks Association for the last 6 months to kind of help us navigate and find standards. Because as parks have changed, it's really hard to compare, city to city. I mean, you guys were in Indiana. How are their irrigation systems?
They just rain.
They don't have any. So you can't compare our parks workers to that city's park.
Yeah, it just rains there.
So we've been working with the NRPA, and they just got back to us last week on a lot of those numbers. One thing that really sticks out is we have a huge amount of pocket parks compared to the national
Yeah.
average. And it's much easier to manage 2 10-acre parks than 10 2-acre parks, especially over 34 square miles.
Can you explain pocket parks?
Yeah, pocket parks, they're the small little parks that you see. Most of them don't even have neighborhoods or parking lots, a lot of ours don't. But what we're seeing is these neighborhoods, what we're doing currently, if a playground is on our schedule to be replaced 25, 30 years, we replace the playground. But what I want to do with that planner is that planner and I will go, okay, it's scheduled to be, but this is an older neighborhood. Let's work with the neighbors. Go out and give options. Do you want a playground, or now is it an aging neighborhood? You want a walking path or maybe a community garden or something? But currently we just replaced what's there. So the planner would help in that regard.
A lot of senior citizens. in the swing sets.
Or maybe it's a park that's not used properly. Great, what can we do with it? Let's design it for something different. Because currently on staff, we have nobody that does that on staff. It's just kind of plug and replace, so.
And give me an idea, just because I don't think people realize how much work one full-time maintenance worker would do. Give us a list of some of the things that they're just.
Well, it's different. It varies. Like say our parks is spread out, not just with parks and green space management, but you have urban space management. We have to have specialists to manage the splash pad because it requires getting a certification and chemical filtration and all of that. So it's different. We have some to maintain the ball fields all day. They're
But
just-
what are you you're looking to get one, but
Oh, in this position
Yeah.
specific, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you meant. in
No
general.
problem.
This position will be mainly at the new Ronwood Field and the Ronwood Park. They'll doing all the additional 9 acres. We're getting an artificial turf field, but it still requires maintenance. You have to put in the silica sands and those rubber beads you see pop up. You can't just throw them down, you have to, it's like a vacuum that goes and sucks them up, washes them, puts them back down, and you have to replace them over time. So there still is maintenance. And so they'll be out there, and then as we add the Wills Park, we're purchasing more ramps there, and then we'll have our in-house staff be able to assemble those, put them there rather than paying somebody to do it. But we're also working with the carpenters union to help us with that.
cool. And I wanted to just
Yeah.
get that out so it's on public record. Because again, Wheels Park might be where someone goes, I haven't skateboarded in 40 years. Why do I need to be paying for these
Yeah.
kids to da-da-da-da-da? But it really is something that becomes a landmark to a city and becomes something to a great many people, and having someone who's dedicated to just making sure that is well maintained.
Yep.
And that the park is there is important, so.
And then another hope is, cross our fingers, we get the rec center, because as part of our offer to that is to maintain the landscaping around the rec center. So this position would also do that as well, so.
All right,
So the 152,000 is 2 full-time positions? So-
Yes, because it's the
The
one
restricted
maintenance
property
worker
tax
and a
increase.
portion of the parks planner.
And it's just a portion of the parks planner because of the reduced seasonal hours.
Yes.
and Councilmember Jacob is online, he wanted to speak to this. Is he able to speak, Mr. Anderson?
Hang on, hope I
Okay,
clicked it.
just hold on.
There he goes.
Okay, you're good.
Yeah, if I unmuted and Alan unmutes me at the same time, that could be
Do that
the
Technology.
I just wanted to chime in, I like the thoughts that have been expressed, and I understand that there are those that complain about, why are we spending money on parks, why are we spending money on events? Why are we spending money on these things that don't necessarily produce any money, don't necessarily produce any direct impact or direct economic impact? And I would just say that if you go to the Stampede event, whether that's the rodeo or the carnival or both, or any of the other pieces of that, and this year there's a softball tournament that I'm particularly excited about.
Mhm.
And you go to any of those events, or you go to any park on any given summer day, and you'll see a whole lot more people at the park or at those events than you will the number of people who say, why am I paying for parks that I don't use? So something to keep in mind is that there's always going to be many more silent majority who are enjoying and wanting those amenities and wanting those things. And frankly, there's not very many people who want to live in a city that don't have them. So I just wanted to chime in with that.
Thank you, Councilmember Jacob. I agree. All right, what else you got?
Next slide, okay. This is our Highlands Special District. It's a area that a few years ago, I can't remember, before I was here, that was managed by Outhouse Crews, and then we as the city took it in and they pay a special fee. It is great. It's been going, we've done a lot of improvements, and yeah, it's been fantastic for us, so.
Outhouse crews?
What's that?
Outhouse crews that do it?
It was, who did it before? Sorry, I did say outhouse, that sounded
I was
very
gonna question
bad.
that too.
As opposed to
Outhouse.
in-house.
I talked fast.
We
I
used to
talked fast.
outsource it.
Outsource would have been better.
We
I always
brought
say
it
in-house
in-house.
crews, whatever we do.
I was wondering if I was gonna question that or not.
Oh, I'm glad you pointed that out.
Let me tell you, before Corey's crew took this over when we were outsourcing it, I don't know how I became a contact, but I became a contact for this residential group, probably the mayor. But they were calling me on a consistent basis, just really discouraged that they were paying a fee every month on their utility bill and didn't feel like that they were getting the service that they would like. And so the mayor and I went out and met with them and toured the area and listened, and this was even, I think it was even before Corey came on. And you know, just decided that we really needed to come up with a different solution. And when Corey came, we brought that in-house. And honestly, I've never received a phone call since. So it has made the residents feel like they're part of something better, that they're contributing towards something. And his team and the team he put on that was Zach Rollins, who's now over the cemetery. He just totally went out and met with residents and found out what their desires were for that community and really just met that need, which is why he got promoted. And someone that worked at the cemetery switched jobs and came over into this role. But I appreciate the work Corey's done because honestly, it has made that community appreciate paying that kind of that extra fee or an HOA fee, so to speak, for the maintenance of the area. He's done a good job.
And no more outhouses.
No
And,
more.
Yeah, we can do more outlets out there.
Kind of shows that, I'm sorry, I went fast.
And we have not done a fee adjustment in this area, we haven't needed to because the way the contract is set up, as it develops, the fee for commercial also contributes to the residential fees as well, because it, you know, as you improve an area, everything grows at the same time, like they all have an improved land value, whether it's Smith's grocery store, because more people wanna live in that area, or whether it's the apartment complex that's in there, or whether it's multifamily homes or single-family homes, they all contribute to the assessment to beautify that area at a different level. And I think when you drive through that area, you can really notice what the difference is. But we haven't had to have a fee adjustment because we've been able to manage reserves. Now, sorry Corey for stealing the thunder
No.
here, but
That's
the
you.
5-year plan we put out had a capital project every like 5 years that would make another improvement to the area. I went a little high on that projection and threw it into ending reserves that were negative, and I should not have done that. So I'm going to propose an amendment to the 5-year plan for the Highlands Special District, take the capital project out, and then we'll assess when a capital project could be done. And it could be a pavilion where they want a pavilion, it could be an additional playground, it could be, there's all kinds of things that they might want to use their reserves on. But we just accumulate those reserves to make sure we have enough for maintenance, but then we pull off an improvement here and there, just a minor improvement.
You know who could help with those improvements? A park planner.
Yep, it's
There
true.
you go.
We did, well, that's good because the improvement we did this last year was the first one, and we actually took out, we sent a QR code to the residents there, took out flyers so they could vote. You want, and we gave them like 6 options. You want a playground, an RC park, a bike track, a few different, pergola, a walk-in. They all voted, well, not all, but the majority voted for a playground. And then we gave them 3 different playground options. And they were able to vote on which playground they wanted. So they got a little more attention through paying through that higher service. And this year we're planning to work with the community there to do some type of pavilion or pergola at one of the existing parks that they use.
I'd say Lazy River.
So.
It's
Lazy
not
River would be
in
nice.
this.
So
Oh,
this
here's
would
the
be the
amendment, sorry.
amendment version, right? So me taking out that one large project in 2031
Right.
keeps those reserves up. And then as the council continues to develop, or that area develops, we can put another project in, but for now, we're just gonna take it out.
Where
Perfect.
is this?
Corey, where's the?
It's,
what's the
gosh, I
area?
should have did the boundaries.
It's
the
in your,
far
there's a
western
map
north,
in your
yes.
budget. Okay.
Pull it
It's neighborhoods, kind of north and south of the Smiths at 78th South and 56th West.
Okay.
56.
And then southwest of that Smiths, on both sides of the mountain.
Got it.
Kent District.
No, it's next.
Oh, exactly.
Capital projects, there's a lot in public services that go on, so we can talk about each of these. I don't know if you want me to highlight all of these, or if there's any you wanna talk about, or.
Now, if you're seeing them in red and crossed
Yes,
out,
correct, thank you.
that means that we're either removing them from the budget, so when we do a final amendment to this budget, or you guys have figured out what your final budget will be, we're just asking you to remove that. And Corey can talk to them, but you'll see them on the next slide as well.
Yeah, this one looks, so when we come to the budget committee, it's usually in March and April, and we do our proposals and estimates, especially for projects. It could be hard if the project's gonna roll over to the next year on getting estimates and when they'll come in, but this one in particular, we applied for a grant, and so we'd asked, the money was a matching grant, so we were asking for 200,000 match, but then just 2 weeks ago, we found out we didn't receive the grant, so that's why that one is no longer needed.
What is the Big Bend project?
Boy, how much time do you have? The mayor's night, it's so that is actually a grant we receive, America the Beautiful grant, that amount from the federal government. It's to move the river, literally to move the Jordan River on our section of the city where it's got the Big Bend. It's where we have an engineering team and contractor that's
It's
going to be
never
moving
goes
this.
to South
That's-
Jordan.
Been
So-
under construction for a long time.
It's been under, and well, it hasn't, construction hasn't started, but it's been under design. It took a long time, a very long time to get the grant from the federal government with a lot of that.
It's not a city project, so to speak.
It's a
It is
weird
it's a weird project.
But we manage it. It's one of
We
Tyler's
manage the
projects.
project, but it's not contributed to by our taxpayers outside of the management of the project. All of the funding sources have come in through grants, and we don't spend any money unless we get grants.
Yep. See if there's any others to highlight.
And it's called re-meandering the river. I learned that.
One that I will, so we did increase the ask for the dog park that was in our existing budget. We got designs, and as we met with administration and our team, we felt that it just wasn't adequate for what we wanted. We also learned Bingham Creek Trail is would be going right through that same property. And so we have to, in order to redesign it and get it, we needed to increase the dollar amount for that project. So that's why you haven't seen any progress on it. As soon as we learned about the Bingham Creek Trail that could potentially go through there, we had to stop and do that.
That's a state project, right?
Correct.
Count,
Or is it state?
Bingham
I
Creek,
thought it was a dot.
County.
It's a county.
It's tying into the state trails master plan.
That's what- Okay, so I'm talking to the state.
That's what you're
trails.
talking about, Ken?
That's why. This will be on the other side of the tracks, well, at Veterans Park, you have the little, where the rodeo is and all the gravel there, right on the other
Senior
side of the track.
community,
It's just a big dirt plot.
Right,
a
right.
senior community on one side of Sugar
Factory.
Factory Road, and the other side.
New ones we're asking for, Plum Creek, just to design, finish that park, and it needs design just around the back edge. really not a whole lot of new projects. We're still trying to wrap up a lot of our big ones, so we didn't ask for as
Continuing the
many this
public
year.
Could you just touch that the council's rodeo arena land use study is in there?
Yep, the rodeo arena land use study, SGC is in there, so we're excited for that
Thanks for
one.
touching on that.
The, we're, maybe this is above your pay grade. Where's the trail, the Jordan River Trail project that needs to take place
Under the road,
under the road that
that's
goes
part
under
of
the
it,
road?
that's in a survey with transportation, I believe.
We're
So
doing,
it's-
are you talking,
Corey's the one that first made me
Yeah,
aware of the
we
issue.
made him aware of it.
So-
so we're doing flooding issue?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're doing a feasibility study too for that bridge to replace that bridge going over 78. There's also some internal discussion on how we can mitigate some of that flooding.
we have a big bridge back behind the
Let me explore that.
behind the
No,
community
I-
arts center.
I'm talking the traffic bridge.
I'm talking the pedestrian bridge.
We're
Take the
putting,
trail above the road.
there currently is a bridge going in at 78, the Penn Bridge.
Well, and then,
The Jordan River
sorry.
Trail.
Jordan, over across the river.
Brian,
Am I confused?
you two are talking
Different,
two
yeah.
separate things, I think. Brian, you're talking about the pedestrian bridge, you're talking about will go over the river, over the water, north of 78.
Yes.
But Councilman Sheldon, what you're talking about is, can we use the span, the bridge span that we got from South Jordan years ago to create a pedestrian bridge that runs north to south over 78
Instead of
to
going
create
under.
a
Instead of
Jordan
going
River Trail connection without having to go under
Under
78
bridge.
where it floods?
So we have a pedestrian bridge, not a swimming bridge.
So,
Yes.
so we
could,
are,
but my- yeah.
we are exploring something that, if it works, it's gonna be a lot cheaper and would enable that trail to be continuously used. So we're had discussions with Public Works and engineers and our engineering team, and we're gonna try to figure out something that's much cheaper and still keep that free for traffic, despite what water is trying to get in there.
Pioneer reenactments.
Plus, with the potential future widenings, I think that bridge, that span may not actually be adequate, if I remember correctly.
It's
right?
probably not wide enough, is it?
Yeah, so we'd end up having a temporary bridge that costs a lot anyway, so.
Continued, so the Ronwood multi-purpose fields, originally, like I said, in our, you'll see why that's crossed out, it was just cost estimate, the dollar amount for the project hasn't gone up, just our estimating by year end was incorrect, so we thought we were gonna need 5 million for next year from the project, but now we need 8.4. We weren't able to spend. But again, like I said, this last year, we had 11 million in the budget, it was still an $11 million project, we just didn't spend what we estimated at the time we created this. So we had some delays in the project. It's still, even though I put 8.4, it's June 2nd, there still could be delays, you never know. But we always do our best, and Joe's awesome at keeping contractors to try to not invoice us for that. So we should be pretty close. It's the same for Ronwood Park, it's at Wills Park, we had to delay a lot of that project as a consequence of all that's going on out there. So again, the project didn't increase, it's the same amount, and again, a lot of that is with grant funding that we've received, Rio Tinto as well. Ronwood property cleanup, this is, you'll see, it's in the Rocky Mountain Power Corridor. It's the old, it was used for the legacy horse, it's just a bunch of garbage. We're gonna pay a contractor to clean it up, and there's also a large garbage and dirt piles that's been there, the community has just used it, it's kind of a dump. So that's what that amount is, to clean and haul all of it away. It's a big amount.
We're having some illegal activities out there.
Yep, in that area, so cleaning that up, and so it's a lot to clean up.
It's
But it's
important.
necessary, yeah, for us.
Important cleanup.
Definitely.
Any questions?
I think a couple of the council initiatives that get called out are the arterial beautification and the tree replacement plan. You increased that a couple of years ago, and we're just continuing that forward. continuing to increase our tree replacements overall. And obviously, on the last slide, it was also the public art initiative. Those are all council-driven initiatives that we're just carrying forward at the same funding as it was originally requested.
I wanna make a comment about the tree replacement program. If you drive down 90th South, you'll see that park staff has planted a lot of trees along that 90th South corridor.
Close to my neighborhood,
Last
there's
month.
a lot of new ones.
A lot of new trees around 48th, and I just approved a requisition for Corey's team to buy 76 trees to plant and replace trees out near the Maples neighborhood.
Are they maples?
There'll be a variety, yeah, probably not.
So
Maybe those triangle shaped bags that go at the bottom of the tree.
It's to protect them and to help, establish them through a growing period. So yeah, we'll remove those and
Do they,
I can't remember how long we'll leave it on, but
do you fill them with water?
they do come and fill them, but they soak the whole area. We have a crew that goes through with a water truck. I'm not sure, I just know they soak the whole area, so. But yeah, our trees, it's been, a lot of the reason those trees were, the main reason those trees are usually missing on those main roads is 90th was a lot of the fiber companies that come through adding in those, they just cut through the roots and over time, it's just hard to keep the trees alive or they're hit by cars, so. But yeah, we planted, I think it was 59 trees just along that couple blocks in 90th South, so. Trying our best with city aesthetics, it's a good one. This isn't me, but we can talk to it.
this, I can speak to this.
That's
This is what we talked
These are
about last week.
facilities.
They're facilities,
Taking
but
out
not-
the fire and police logistics building. We're gonna watch interest rates closely. If there's an opportunity to refinance the MBA bond and gain a favorable position through refinance, then we'll do that refinance, and if that creates the opportunity to pursue this logistics building, we'll pursue it with you. But we're gonna take it out of the budget for now.
Wait, go back. The fire station landscaping, Chief Maxfield has only been able to do a portion of the project, along with Parks in re-landscaping a couple of the fire stations. So he's asking, instead of the 60,000 ongoing landscaping budget to get the 5 stations done, he's moving some of the funds forward because he's just not been able to spend them, so.
Yeah, we have, I don't touch to that, we have an awesome fire department, not many cities do that, and what they're referring to is, we were gonna approve all the, landscaping at the fire stations and do that with our parks crew or contract out, but they have a lot of talent among their firemen, a lot of them do landscaping on the side, so they offered to kind of take that project on. They already do a lot of their own maintenance there, pretty much all of them.
Yeah, I saw them out there working.
Yeah, so they're fantastic. That's an awesome thing that we have here at West Jordan. It's not coming from other cities. That's not a common thing also. But yeah, and in closing, I do want to say, since I've been here, I want to thank you you've supported public services a lot. I've seen a lot of things come our way, and I appreciate it. And we take it serious, and we wanna do the best we can. So thank you for all you've done for us.
Thanks, Corey.
We appreciate you, thank you.
You now?
Since you've taken all the time, I guess we're
I know.
done, huh?
It's the
We've
fun
got
stuff.
2 minutes
right?
left for.
I don't know what's left. Is it Brian yet, or is Brian last?
Is it streetlights?
Yeah, you got streetlights, Corey, what the heck?
Oh, geez. Sorry, I saw transportation.
Well, that's you.
I know. I just read Chad. I was saying, oh, it's Brian, but it's you, streetlights. Our streetlight crew, yes. Any questions?
So, you're gonna see a change.
Yes.
You're gonna see transportation utility with streetlights in parentheses. We're gonna gradually retrain the community to understand. HB 425 passed the legislature this year, and streetlights were identified specifically as a transportation utility fee. So we're gonna need to change the name to that. I think I've already spoken to you before, the HB 425 also requires us to make that fee not be a flat fee that's just distributed across the city, but it has to have something to do with trip generations, or some sort of methodology that could support the fee being distributed differently to different types of businesses and residences. So we'll be performing that study this year, but that's why you're seeing the change, and that's why Corey was like, this is a Brian thing. But it's a Corey thing.
It usually looks different in my budget book.
How do you calculate trip generations for residential?
it's just an average that we have overall in the transportation master plan,
So that's more of a flat fee, but not for businesses.
right?
Okay.
One thing I wanna highlight real quick.
And multifamily will be different than single family.
Sure.
Our streetlight crew this last year, it's been a goal for a number of years to convert all of our streetlights to LED. And I'm not gonna say 100% because you never know, but we're about 99.9% have completed that project this last year.
Yeah.
Other than the annexed area that was annexed into the city, and we've already started working there because they had quite a few. But in doing so, we received on that first month that it was annexed out to Public Works, I received 2 or 3 calls from people who are annexed into the area just saying, thank you, we've never had streetlights working, and seeing LED lights was a good improvement for them, so they did a lot this year.
Have you been making any strides on theft?
We've made a lot of strides, so we've started purchasing these copper lids that they have to be manufactured in Eagle Mountain, cause every box is different, but yeah, it's a contractor down there now, coincidentally Eagle Mountain. But he started making these cause he makes them and they're designs that we can go screw them on our existing boxes. Cause a lot of the time what happens is they break these boxes and then they are able to tear, but we found all that I think we've installed, last I checked, it was over 170. And we haven't had one vandalism or theft since in any of those boxes that we installed. And a lot of our boxes, like we'd replace it and 2 weeks later it would be hit again. So we started our continual areas of theft, and since we've installed one, we haven't had one theft using those boxes. The problem is we have over 10,000 boxes spread throughout through the city. So we're slowly trying with our existing budget, adding them more and more, and it's been great. So
It has dropped.
it's dropped a lot. Yep.
There's been a noticeable drop.
Yep, especially
in the last 6 months.
Yeah, it was out west, was a lot in the industrial and new developed areas, and so, like I said, those were our heavy impact areas, so as we've installed those, we haven't seen near as much.
Didn't
so.
you also replace with aluminum wiring?
And we've started replacing with aluminum wiring. I'm not gonna give out another secret, sorry, I can't answer, since we're on record. The boxes might say that there's aluminum wire in there, but as a deterrent.
replacing
We have been replacing it with aluminum wire, but we did put on the box that it says aluminum wire, so that they don't want to break into it also, if that makes sense. I just didn't wanna rebuild it. Nobody.
Good to know.
Live
Yeah,
badger inside.
We've thought about it, yeah, we've thought of it, something like
Tie
that.
a government to it.
A rabbit bat lives in this box.
Here's the next slide for the streetlight fund.
So this is the 5-year plan for the streetlight fund. And you can see that we keep about a 25% of the revenues as a reserve, but consistently are using it to add new streetlights in the areas, and then also to replace and maintain the streetlights with, nice paint or wiring or LED or all those things, so. And we have 2 electricians and an intern, right?
3, no, we have 3 electricians, we don't
I
have
know.
an intern, he's an apprentice,
Apprentice,
electrician, sorry.
So 2 of the electricians and the apprentice are in the streetlight fund. The master electrician is in the facilities department of the general fund because we need those services to still be available for our facility maintenance.
And one thing, another pitch for, even though it sounds with the parks planner, so Kevin, he's our master electrician, him and Tyler Crawford and I, we attend weekly development review meetings. This is anytime, a gas station, anything's going in, we look to make sure it's meeting our specs and standards. They spend a lot of time in those meetings, having to verify. That will go to our parks planner, which will then allow Kevin and Tyler to then be out actually doing the work. So the planner will be trained in all of those and be able to attend the meetings and make sure it meets our specifications. So then our electricians can be out doing the electrical work. So just another plug for that position.
The streetlight fund is estimated to have a 4% rate increase per year every year moving forward in order to keep the reserves where they are.
There we go.
Now it's
There
Brian's
we go.
turn. He's awake.
About time.
Really about time.
Can I ask a question on the?
Yep, go right ahead, Councilmember Jacob.
Thanks, I had a hand up, but,
Oh,
on the transportation utility fee that we have reading the streetlight fund that, I kinda like the idea that kind of opens the doors to, having transportation utility fees so that we can better take care of our roads, for example. But I don't see that in the projection there at all. Is that being contemplated? We talked about it a year ago, and then we said, oh wait, the legislature's gonna do something, so let's not do something yet. And the legislature did something, and now we're doing something, and all we're doing is renaming the street lighting fund.
You're right, that fee hasn't been determined, or that decision hasn't been determined, but certainly the council can deliberate and give the administration some direction. But we have not received direction to move forward with that quite yet from the mayor's office. You will see too as well, Councilmember Jacob, that we also removed the transfer to the general fund in this year's budget out of the streetlight fund. 2 years ago, we removed the transfer to the general fund from the solid waste fund because everyone didn't participate in it. Everyone does participate in this utility, and it is best practice for us to do the 6 or 5% transfer to the general fund. However, this fund, because of the new legislation, is highly scrutinized, and I just feel like it would be in our best interest not to transfer anything to the general fund from this fund moving forward. So we lost about $70,000 to $80,000 in the general fund revenue from this reducing this transfer out.
Okay, about that.
Yes.
Maybe it's just the way you phrased it, but because there's increased scrutiny on this fund, we don't wanna do something we've been doing. That makes it sound like we've been doing something naughty. And
I would agree the way that was phrased.
I think it's been defensible this whole time, and I think if it was defensible then and it was the right idea philosophically, then it should be defensible now.
I believe part of the legislation will not allow us to contribute to the general fund from any kind of utility transportation fee.
Okay, that's a better way to say it.
Yeah. I guess that's what I mean. The state auditor is all over this one, and the legislation is pretty restrictive. So, it's not very clear legislation, but not much is. So, but we felt like that was not something that we could justify in the same way that we do in the water and the stormwater. I think you're right, Councilmember Jacob. Certainly the reason we transfer to the general fund is because the delivery of the utility is using our right of way, right? And the power poles for the streetlights are in our right of way, and they're using that right of way to deliver the service, and we have to maintain the right of way based on the maintenance of the streetlights. So I think it's certainly justifiable, but I believe that the legislation might restrict us a bit in that.
Okay, if it's restricted by legislation, that's one thing. If it's, we don't wanna get caught doing something just fine, then that's something else.
Yeah, no, I feel confident in our transfers.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for the question, Councilmember Jacob.
Well, since Corey took all the time, do you guys have any questions? All right, let's get started.
I think we should make Corey stay though.
I know, he gets to leave.
He's
Right.
gone, he's already in the parking lot.
Public Works Administration. As Corey spoke earlier, we do endorse the addition for a customer service representative of Public Works. We each have an admin. And honestly, the admin spends more time answering calls and doing things that aren't beneficial to helping us. So that position is needed. You heard Corey. on that.
Seems like it'd be cheaper to have the customer service person than having an admin take care of customer service.
Well, and then they can help our departments too.
Been holding back, but I gotta say it. Citywide, we are really lean on administrative support. Relative to the size of our city and the overall staffing that we have, we don't have any city departments with more than one admin assistant. And we have some departments with zero. When we went through COVID, that was one area where we dramatically reduced across the board. One of the things that we've done to compensate was we've reduced the administrative receptionist support that's departmental specific, but Tangi's support of citywide through customer service has grown. This is just one more step in that, trying to keep the administrative support in each department lean, efficient, focused on the department, but having a customer service rep at Public Works goes towards trying to answer calls, deal with customer service quickly, efficiently, in a good customer service way, but also at the lowest level of the licensure, so to speak, the lowest cost per hour.
Makes sense.
Then the indirect costs, 60% to development services and utilities, 4% change this for FY 27. Engineering, FY 26, we transferred one engineer to the Class C road account. This year, we're asking for $15,000 for additional traffic counters with the increase in traffic studies that Nestor's been tasked to do and getting good data. These will be beneficial to that, making decisions on traffic calming, different things that
How many more traffic counters is that?
that is 4, I believe. And then there's 5% increase, FY 27. With engineering, indirect costs are more with development services. They kind of work hand in hand there, so there's no other divisions really, since Greg has his own utilities division. GIS, IT indirect costs for all the programs that we utilize with GIS, 7% change, not a lot of change there. Any questions on that one?
I had a visit with them regarding the report a problem function on the website. And during that visit, I got the kind of a vibe that they're shorthanded and relying too much on interns.
To a point, that is true. We're looking at doing some things differently in that division. We'll request another employee probably next year for that division also. Corbin, did you have your hand up? Did I see it?
Yeah, I
Oh,
did.
sorry.
I wanted to wait till you're done, sorry.
No, you're good. And then there's a 7% increase there. But you're right, Councilmember Shelton, we've had that discussion with GIS staff.
The parks planner position that Corey's asked for also, it's anticipated we'll do some of that GIS work that Parks leans on GIS for, so.
So can we be a
Uh,
long job?
GIS would like another staff position. We're trying, before we come to you saying we need one more staff position, we're trying a couple of other things to balance workloads there, and that's part of the park planner ask.
Okay.
I'm not sure GIS totally buys that or agrees, that kind of remains to be
Yes.
seen.
But I think it all goes hand in hand because
But I mean, if over time the burden on their staff is reduced,
Yes.
I mean, unless they're being dishonest, they'll be able to admit that, right?
and we've been fortunate to get really, really good interns. Clint's done a great job in vetting that out. And they've done some really amazing work for us, so.
It seems like they spend a lot of time training those interns.
They do,
And
yeah,
so
it's,
that's-
there's a lot of training and then they're gone, right? I mean, but
Yeah.
I think we benefited from those interns
Yeah.
too, so.
For sure. Do we pay those interns or?
Yep.
Just not a lot.
Just the 4-month rate.
Streets, do we have that, did you have that table?
It's on the next slide.
Okay. So last year, thankfully, we got another concrete crew. Thank you for approving that.
You're welcome.
It's helped immensely, and I guess in the next slide you'll see. There's no increase this year. We're not asking for any increase. We felt very fortunate to get that last year, and it's been amazing to have additional crew and equipment. Here we go. Is this it? Yep.
Wow, that's great.
So you can see from 24 to 25, the increase in concrete that we've poured. Pumped, replaced, ground. But we have a backhoe attachment that we can cut sections of panels out, we can suck it up. If it's the differential, the grade differential's there, we can fix it, either get rid of the tree roots or whatever's causing that grade differential, and then put the sidewalk panel back in place so we don't have to pour it. So that's been,
I got to see that on my ride along. It was incredible.
yeah, it's been a big help on certain sections of the city to save some money. But again, thank you for approving that because you can see it's making a difference.
Well, this is one of the things I kind of point to when I talk about, you raise it a couple of dollars, but you see what you get for it.
Yeah.
And I often say that if I were to go around and house to house and say, would you give us $2 if we could fix your sidewalk?
Yeah.
And also, I mean, there's still a lot to be done. There's a lot of sidewalk issues throughout the city, but we're headed in the right direction with this. And then we've also started a sidewalk reimbursement program where if residents want their sidewalk replaced that meets the criteria, then they can be reimbursed to have it replaced up to a certain amount. So that's helped also. We've had a few sidewalks replaced with that program.
One thing I've been really concerned about in regards to your department is the deferred maintenance. And the longer we put it off, the more it's gonna end up costing the city in the long run. I know, my first year on the council, I told you this, that I was really gung ho and thought I had, a million years worth of political capital. And I said, hey, let's just raise property taxes or whatever we have to do in order to get caught up on this and not be behind on it and not be behind the eight ball. And in the long run, it'll save the city money. And I still believe that would be the right approach. But it would be, that's a big lift for the council to each one of the seven of us to put ourselves behind the eight ball politically.
So Brian and I had a discussion today about this, quite honestly. And we were talking about C roads because as you see in a minute, as you will see, where pavement maintenance actually occurs, we can only sustain that accelerated spending till 2031 or 2032. And it's not even at that same level as what we're spending right now. And there's two sales tax sources. There's the 5th of the 5th, which is dedicated to road maintenance. And so it's being reported into Class C road funds for pavement maintenance. And that was a new funding source as of last year. But the 4th of the 4th sales tax was also dedicated to transportation. But when it was implemented, the city needed it to fund the streets department, and it does fund the streets department. Almost all of the streets department. So, but that 4th of the 4th, if you could raise property tax a little bit at a time and say, we're going to be less dependent on that sales tax source, which is dedicated to transportation, and divert that sales tax into pavement maintenance, even if you did 0.25% or 0.5% every year of property tax towards reducing our dependence on that 4th of the 4th sales tax and bringing it over into pavement maintenance. By 2032, you would have it over there, and then you could continue with the same pavement maintenance plan that you kind of have today.
But I feel like to really get caught up, it'd take like a 10% increase or something.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Similarly, Councilman Jacob brought up the transportation utility fee. We're watching it closely. We're watching other cities do that, but that is a gradual increase in the property tax to offset that, or an implementation and a gradual increase of that transportation utility fee for road maintenance. Those are the two dials you can adjust.
I just feel like it's not gonna take an adjustment. It's gonna take a real crank of the dial.
Up to 11.
It could, I mean, there are other options, right? You could, the one-time funding we're getting of $1.1 million from the legislature for the next 15 years now, there's like 10 years left. That influx was meant to be bonded, like, that was the whole intent of Senator Harper. He's like, I want cities to bond for, $15 million and use this 15 years of payments to pay off the bond. We chose not to do that. We chose to take the funding annually and put it into pavement maintenance. Murray bonded on it, right? They did a $20 million bond and did a huge lift in their city to do a pavement maintenance project and dedicated the payment of the bond with the $1.1 million. Well, they didn't get that much, but whatever they got for their roads. So there's some different strategies. Brian's team felt like give them more money and let them see what they can accomplish with that much money, because they can do a lot of the work in-house as long as we have the time to do it. If you outsource it, it becomes a lot more expensive, but you're right.
You're only allowed to outsource or do a certain percentage in-house too, right?
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's restricted.
One of the things I've been really proud about with our engineers and Brian's leadership in Public Works though, is the creative and innovative ways they're looking at asphalt maintenance now. There's a handful of tools to help us maintain asphalt in different ways, and in this situation, this is the right tool, in this situation, this is the right tool that we weren't using 9 years ago. And that's making us more cost effective.
And we're getting more years out of the road with the different treatments we're using too, so
That's good.
the good roads are lasting. Alright. Fleet management. FY25, we added additional contribution for police vehicles and the tiller truck. The tiller truck has been ordered. It's a 4-year build, so we'll get that in 2029.
We did that contribution in halves,
Yeah.
so we did it in 2 years.
2 years, that's right, but it won't be ready for 4, right?
Yeah.
FY26, additional, again, contribution for police and tiller truck. And the cost recovery, set to allow 2 million in reserves.
So when I'm saying that, I set this revenue, so Brian manages this piece of the budget and I kind of manage the revenue piece of the budget. So we look at how many vehicles are out there, what were they purchased for, and then we put an inflation factor on it because we're never gonna be able to just straight line depreciate, right? Cause then a vehicle never costs what you bought it for 5 or 10 years ago. So we put an inflation factor on that. But really the goal is that the revenue will allow a $2 million reserve to just sit there, right? So that we can replace vehicles as we need to, and not have too much reserve, but have enough reserve. So this vehicle replacement plan can fluctuate depending on what the reserve levels are, what vehicles are available, those kinds of things.
All right. Thanks, Denise.
Sorry.
No, you're good. The new purchases this year, you'll see in streets, we're asking for a side cast sweeper for our overlay operation. And then facilities trailer, crossing guard, parks planner. We are asking in fleet for a new tire balancing machine and a new tire mounting machine. Ours is worn out and it can't, with the new F550s we're buying now, it's not able to mount the 19.5-inch tires, so we have to send those out to get mounted and balanced. But the new machine will be able to do that in-house. Replacements plan, we got 4 million this year, as Denise said, 1 million for upfitting the new vehicles. And then we have 1 million for leased equipment, and that's all the yellow still. All the backhoes, the front end loaders, the skid steers, the mini track units.
Those are leased, huh?
So every 3 years, with the use that equipment gets, every 3 years we get a new piece of equipment to replace that with their lease program. So we always have dependable equipment out there. It's not sitting in the shop.
Not only that, they maintain it, which is
They
also
do
a huge
maintain it.
benefit.
Yep. Here's the fleet management fund, as Denise talked about. FY 2030 is when we're supposed to take possession of the tiller truck. Hopefully it's before then, but I highly doubt it. And then you can see where the reserves, the ending reserves, over the next 5 years.
And that's why I said, I set that fleet replacement plan for all the different funds to just keep that $2 million in the fleet management fund as a reserve.
Any questions on that? Oh, Class C. FY 25, that's when we doubled, went from $4 million to $8 million for road maintenance to improve our PCI. And then in FY 26, we dedicated engineers to the road. We have 2 engineers now that are pretty much dedicated to road maintenance.
Can you tell us what the PCI stands for again?
Pavement condition index. So PCI goes from 1 to 100. And we want to be rough. A good PCI is about 70. I mean, great is 100, right?
Yeah.
That's a new road. And that's kind of how we gauge the replacement. We have a PCI on all the roads in the city. We have a 7-year asphalt maintenance plan now, and it outlines what roads we do every year based on the PCI.
If the PCI gets too low, then the road has to be replaced.
Absolutely, yep.
And that's why it's important.
That's why we're trying to get ahead of the
Do
game.
not have that deferred maintenance,
Yep.
right?
You're absolutely right.
And if I could interject too, just so once the PCI gets too low, if we haven't been able to allocate enough to put some kind of surface treatment on that road before it gets to a certain level, that's when you'll see roads just left to
Fall
wait
apart.
until, yeah.
Until an
Unfortunately,
overlay or rebuild.
Again, till we can actually allocate funds to rebuild it, doesn't, at some point in time, there's no surface treatment that is going to work on a road if it's too low on the PCI. So,
So that's what happened in Councilmember Lamb's neighborhood?
yeah,
Mhm.
you just say, okay, once you can get that allocated on the budget to roto-mill and overlay, that's what you do. You don't apply a surface treatment because it's just a waste at that point in time.
Yeah.
Just do
If
it.
that helps with clarification.
So yeah, we did. Oh, go ahead.
I have a question on this too. I kind of was hinting at this when we started talking about the transportation utility fee. But, is the 7-year plan that you mentioned, when we looked at it before, it was not sufficient. It was still a declining, like the average PCI for the whole city, right, was going from 65 to 35, even with the 7-year plan, or whatever it was. I don't remember what the numbers were, or if that was even the right measurement. But there was there was a kind of a time chart and the PCI number going down over time.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering with the current plan, is that still the same?
It's similar, but with the increased funding, Councilmember Jacobs, we're actually able to do more. It will help, but we're still behind the 8 ball, but we are doing better. And you'll see in the next slide or so, you'll see that we're asking for a PCI analysis for the next 3 years, just to get a better idea of where we're headed with the increased funding. And seeing what difference we are making with the PCI. But like Corbin said earlier too, we've opened up the toolbox now. We're doing surface treatments too, which is gonna be a big help in the future, moving forward. You'll see a difference with PCI in doing those surface treatments. But it is, I can't say it's 100%, but it is a lot better than where we were with the increased funding.
Right. Councilmember Harrison.
Oh, sorry, I was just counting.
Oh,
I was trying to
I'm
decide.
so
that, guys.
sorry.
I think
Sorry.
And then in FY 26, we bought a mastic machine. Again, that's another treatment we can do. You'll see on certain roads, you'll see it looks like in the travel lanes, where the travel lanes wear and they sink, or where they start gatoring or falling apart, we can go in and lay mastic now, which has worked out really, really well. It's very durable, so we can lay the mastic down and give us more time on that road for us to get there to do the proper repairs. But this mastic has been amazing, the machine and the material. Again, it's another tool that we didn't have before.
And it's a tool that can be used year round.
Yeah, we
Mastic-
can do it in the
Mastic is
winter.
really great because we can do road maintenance with mastic in December, January.
And yeah, we did a lot of it this winter.
And very thin.
Because we
very
weren't
thin
plowing.
strings.
Can you have you plow work?
Is one machine enough for what you're doing there?
Yeah, with the staffing we have, it's good. And again, like this year, FY '27, we're asking for a side cast sweeper. When we go in and do an overlay, we have a milling machine that goes on our skid steer to get the edges. And we mill it on the edge and then we take that off and we put a little broom on the skid steer. It takes a lot of time, where this, we can follow behind the milling machine and it side casts it, kicks it out so the big sweeper can come and clean it up. Just an efficiency that I think is important with this, and I think we'll do a lot quicker because it slows down the operation. And like Denise said, the long-term plan with the current funding, we're sustainable through 2032. You'll see, here's the ending reserves.
So you can see, we get down to like $62,000, pretty tight.
Yeah, it's gonna be tight.
That's after the tiller, right?
What's that? I'm sorry.
That's
Different fund.
This is a different
Yeah,
fund.
this is pavement maintenance.
This is all pavement maintenance. Class C roads is the money
Sorry,
we
I
get
was
for
so
pavement
focused
maintenance.
on that I.
No, you're kidding. I am too, because it's in the shop every day. So any questions on this? We had a little bit of discussion on possible different ways to fund it.
I just think that this is one of the discussions we probably need to have, not during budget, like during this budget process, but as a work session to figure out what's the council's strategy to move forward.
I guess that's my concern, is like we talked about it, but we didn't really come to any conclusions.
No, this is a big one coming up.
Capital projects, so total in pavement maintenance, we have $9 million. And we have 18.4 million slated for capital projects in FY '26, or '27, sorry. So here's the capital projects. Sugar Factory Road sidewalk projects, we're working on design. We're working with Rocky Mountain Power to get costs on burying the power in a certain section of where we're doing this project, which is very expensive. But it'll clean it up a little bit. There'll still be above ground power, but this section will be cleaned up. Safe sidewalk money, that's the money we use to do a lot of the sidewalk work.
Is that a grant?
No, that's general fund money that we get every year to fund it. And then Esther has a project, we talked about this one, I think, a while back. He was doing a sidewalk, installing a sidewalk where sidewalk is missing currently for safe walking routes. It's in conjunction with the grant he received. Center Park Drive Trail, we're doing a trail around Center Park Drive. That's another one that has grant money behind it. This is reimbursable once we get the trail installed. 7900 South, this is the bridge I was talking about. We're currently constructing a pedestrian bridge over the river, 7800 South. We have WFRC federal funds with this. This one's been a tough one. When you receive federal funds, you have to now follow the Build America, Buy America policy. And it's been tough with this project. The general contractor, the sub he used to construct the bridge, didn't use Build America, Buy America parts, so now the bridge is stuck in South Carolina until they can retrofit the Build
Crazy.
America. If you don't follow those rules, the federal government can come back and pull the project and the city would be responsible to pay for that project, so. This project's actually about 6-7 months behind. And the contractor will be charged LDs liquidated damages because of this too. But yeah, it's, the abutments are in, we're just waiting for the bridge. This is a new one, Vista West Trail. This is one that, is this the trail that's going through Vista West Park, I guess? I didn't know about this one. So, yeah, we're building a trail through Vista West Park.
You're all over it.
It's an active transportation.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
active
linking up that, where there's kind of that dead end.
Yeah,
Familiar with the park?
Probably
side?
going up the hill
I,
on
yeah,
the
I,
west side of the park.
yeah, that's what was discussed. a few while back. 90 South New Bingham Highway project. This is the connection there at Duck Ridge and connecting New Bingham and 90 South. The 1.9 million is our share in the project. We have a lot of, we're getting federal fund for this. Estimated project to do that connection, estimated cost is 16 million. And that's a pretty good estimate because we hired an engineer to make sure we were getting good estimates on that. 8200 South, 6700 West roundabouts on the project list now. Traffic warrants are telling us we need to put the roundabout in now. Then we have annual traffic installation funding, 325 every year. Traffic signal maintenance is our contract with the county to maintain our traffic signals throughout the city. That's our contract cost. And then the UDOT, we're getting UDOT funds to help with the 5490 West, 7000 South roundabout. That one's in the projects. We still got to do design and everything on that one. So. Any questions on those? Did you guys know we're doing a project on 1300 West? Just wanted to make sure everyone's aware of that. Actually, phase 2 has started. They've got traffic set up and their traffic control set up and they're moving. So it's good to see that one finally underway. And we're working on phase 3 right now, design and property acquisition. And then there's the 8 million that we were getting for pavement maintenance again this year. This is our second year having the increased funding. Then 6700 West, 90th South and Bingham Highway. 2200 West Canal Road project. We're doing we just got a study back a couple weeks ago. We have a canal road that goes along, an asphalt road that goes along that serves a few residents along off of 2200. Well, that canal bank's eroding and the road's washing out. So we got a study done on what we need to do. So that project will be moving forward. This is one we might be coming back for an amendment because costs are probably going to be more than that. And the yearly manhole maintenance budget we get every year, $335,000. That's to go through the city and then maintain manholes that could possibly be eroding or lowering of manholes when we pave and different things like that. So I know utilities use some of this too, and we help them get the manholes rehabbed. The study, the PCI analysis I was talking about, we put in $100,000 for a 3-year study. We think that'll be sufficient to have a 3-year study over the next 3 years to kind of see where we're headed with PCI. And that will help, I think, steer us in a direction that we need to go when we talk for future funding. And then we just have we have 50,000 for miscellaneous studies that come up that we need to hire a consultant for. Bridge projects, put $200,000 in. We've got some bridge repairs we need to do throughout the city on the smaller bridges. UDOT does the inspections, but we have to do the repairs. We've got the inspections back and we've got to start on a few minor repairs on those bridges. And then this $180,000 is the 7900 South 11th West Bridge, that's the feasibility study we're doing to see how we can, what we need to do with that bridge and what's feasible on the bridge on 78th by Gardner Village there.
Council, just a reminder too, last week we talked about that wall on 1300 West. Per direction, we'll add $500,000 for that wall to this list.
Yep, and I have added it to UNA, it's in UNA,
Brian's been put on, he was supposed to give this presentation 2 council meetings ago, and the last council meeting.
We weren't
We
ready
haven't
for it.
updated the slides,
so it's good, but it's in there, so.
Does that include a sidewalk?
Yeah, yep,
the sidewalk will be part of the road project.
yeah, so
The
we're,
city project will be the wall, is my understanding.
yes, we'll go ahead of the project on phase 3, put the wall in, and then the project will build up to that wall. Park strip, some areas have park strip, but it'll definitely be curb gutter sidewalks.
Cool.
It'll be nice once it's done. in
Yeah.
15 years. I'm kidding, it won't be that.
Feels like it.
That's what 1300 West feels like.
Yeah, that's, yeah. Solid waste. Right now, currently, we have one more year left on our renewal with our current hauler. The RFP is out. We've worked with purchasing, we gotta get new proposals because all of our renewals are, done. So July timeframe, we'll be getting, the proposals back. We'll review those and then bring forward to council once we have those back.
Do you want to explain just a little bit about the options in the RFP?
Yeah, there's a few different options, and one is with the seasonal can. I know that's been kind of a hot topic throughout the city since we got rid of green waste. It's now a seasonal can. There's been a lot of confusion because when we went away from green waste and called it a seasonal can, a lot of residents assumed that it would be picked up all year round, which it's not. We're still on the seasonal schedule. We've put in an ad alternate with the proposal to go keep it as it is, seasonally, or one of the ad alternates is to pick up weekly or to discontinue it. So we'll see how that looks when we get the proposals back. Another ad alternate, what was the other ad alternate, Joe, we added? I can't remember.
Weekly or bi-weekly recycling?
Yes, that's what it was. With our recycling tonnages and talking to the different haulers, it would be better off to go to a weekly or a bi-weekly service just because we don't have the tonnages of recycling. But we'll see what the proposals come back as.
If I may, I want to talk a little bit about the intersection of budget, policy, and procurement here with this example. Administrative staff, Brian, Joe, the Solid Waste Division and Public Works, Paul, have been working on writing the RFP, issuing the RFP to find a vendor to provide this service. They put in these ad alternates. Should we, go to bi-weekly recycling or weekly recycling? That's an administrative function. That's procurement, finding the right vendor. There's no legislative, policy, budgetary impact on that. That's finding the best price, the best value from the vendor. However, we'll go through this procurement process. The team will determine, we think this vendor can provide the best alternatives for us. But which alternative is selected, which of those ad alternates is selected, that's a cost of service, that's a budgetary impact, that's a level of service policy decision. That's when it comes to the council, and the council will have to weigh in on, is it worth saving, $1 a month on the solid waste fee to go to bi-weekly recycling or not? So there will be a point at which we think we know this vendor provides the best value. Now, council, what's the policy decision? And then the budgetary impacts around what level of service do we want to provide as it relates to weekly versus bi-weekly recycling, as it relates to these seasonal cans, and so on. So you will have a role to play in the final decision. It won't be in selecting who the vendor is, it will be in setting the service level and then hence the budgetary impacts.
Brian, when you say that we don't have the tonnage for recycling, does that mean people, residents aren't recycling?
Yeah, it's just, it's so light too, right? So we're picking it up weekly and it's just not, the hauler doesn't think it's beneficial. We'd get the same tonnages doing it bi-weekly. They've done it with other cities. It works out well, so we'll just have to see what it comes back at, kind of make, you guys make a decision how much level of service we want to do. We got a pretty good contract deal on our contract right now. As you know, everything's going up, so I would assume we're gonna have a rate increase once we start the new contract. And then, again, prepare for an increased, tipping fees. They usually go up $2 a year. With that, last year they didn't do it. We did a study with the landfill. Being on the landfill board, they did a study, and the study came back that we didn't need to increase fees, tipping fees for this current budget year, FY '26. And they're looking at FY '27. More than likely, it's gonna be a $2 increase, to hopefully help fund the transfer station once the landfill is at capacity. We have the Sandy transfer station. Once Transjordan's at capacity, before it's at capacity, they'll build another transfer station there and we'll continue to haul solid waste out to that. It'll just be transferred to Bayview, truck to Bayview landfills. Any questions on this? Again, here's the ending reserves.
Doing a
We're
5% rate increase every year, but just holding reserves steady.
It's doing good. All right,
Go
Greg,
Ryan.
Done.
there we go.
You beat Corey by
Well, I wasn't asking for the
15
world,
minutes.
Corey.
Take off. Whether I need a stretch or anything like that, nothing like that, you're ready for the last one here?
I was born ready.
Great. Thanks for letting us be here today, I appreciate the chance to come talk to you guys. Let's just talk about a little things, some of the things that are changing in admin and engineering. If you remember last year, we added a water conservation program manager. I think that she's working out really well. We're seeing her work with community groups like HOAs and with our Parks Department this year, especially with the drought management group.
What's her name?
Huh?
What is the water conservation program manager's name?
Her name is Cindy Morales.
Cindy with an S.
Yes, I know, it's,
So it's
everyone has a
confusing 'cause
different,
First time I went to type an email, I put in C and I'm like,
no, it's SINDY.
She's incognito.
She does a great job, I really like having her here. There in this, we're not asking for any other changes. There is changes to the indirect costs that other people have shown, but otherwise, we're staying steady there.
Is she gonna add a cloud seeding fund?
Does she get what?
Cloud seeding fund?
Wouldn't that be great?
Just over West
Rain
Jordan.
dance?
Yeah.
She has applied for some grants from Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District that we're really hoping for. I think we're eligible for somewhere around $770,000 worth of grants. So if we do get those, we might get back more than half of her salary just in the grants. And we have applied for those, but they're about those.
And that, you'll remember when we funded that position, that was part of the intent was
Right.
we think we can get part of this position paid back through grants from Jordan Valley. But we'll need to be aggressive.
Yeah, and we have applied for those, we're waiting to hear back from Jordan Valley. Those, you can only apply for those in May of every year, so that's what we did. We just haven't heard back yet. Okay, here's the water fund. If you look on this fund,
The
the
water sales are well in excess of.
thank you. There aren't any other side budgets, so I'm wondering exactly what I want to talk about. This fund is growing. And so if you see here, we're adding projects in this budget in construction. But especially with the appetite for some of the West Jordan residents in the last couple of years for water, we have certainly got a lot more than what we counted for or what we counted on originally. If you know, we have a tiered water system, so for those who conserve, you pay a consistent amount. For those who use in excess, as you go up those tiers, you make more. The last couple of years, we have had many people who, because we're in a drought, decided that they valued their green lawn more than they cared about the water tiered rate. And so at that point, what we received in revenue really went up, as you can see there. So anyway, as we got that extra money, we've decided that we're going to increase and build some more capital projects. And you'll see that when we get to the capital project side.
So let me talk to this for just a minute. There's a couple things that we need to amend in the 5-year plan. We accidentally, because the verbiage in our system said MP3, we put it under Zone 3 and it was Master Plan Project 3.
Yeah, it is Master Plan Project.
So we called it Zone 3 tank in fiscal year 2029, 2030, and 2031. It's a $13 million project. It should have been called the Zone 5 South tank. So we'll amend the 5-year plan in your project or in your budget to show that as the Zone 5 South tank. It will change the funding source to become 100% impact fee eligible because the Zone 3 tank wasn't 100% eligible. It will have a change in net value, and it will change the reserves, and it will recalculate our debt service ratio. So all those things will happen. We'll give you a new 5-year plan so that you can have that. But one of the things that I'd like to talk about before Greg changes to the next slide, because Greg didn't see these beforehand because we were running late. These literally were done at 5:30. So we're sorry, it was our fault, my fault, not Greg's. We really need to have a future discussion about how to fund some of the infrastructure for the water fund. We need our long-term forecast of utilities subsidizes the water utility fund for our water storage tanks, and we're already upside down, so we go further and further upside down. Our Series 2021 bond fund, the final payment is in June of 2030. So one of the options might be that we bond for that Zone 5 South tank, which is identified up here, for the next bond, because the debt service will have gone away. We'll use the debt service again and bond for that and pay it with impact fees as they come in. But I'm not confident, and Greg isn't either, that we'll ever collect enough impact fees to be able to bring that negative balance into being flat. So I think we're just gonna need to accept at some point that the utility has subsidized the impact fee because the impact fee was too low previously. It is not the one that you have adopted, but it was previously too low and threw it in the hole, and it's really difficult to get out of the hole once you're in there. So we could bond for that Zone 5 North tank, which begins in 2027. We could bond for the Zone 5 South tank, which begins in 2030. So we have some financial strategies we can talk about as a council and as administration and figure out what's the best way for us to do that. So Greg, hit the button and then I'm gonna go, ugh, right? So this one is our net change per year. The red line is the combined effect. That's what really matters when you go to an audit, right? In an audit, they're like, we just care about what your bottom line is. And so they really don't break out impact fee versus the utility reserves, but we do that for you for policy and for reportability and accountability and for the state auditors. So the green is what the reserves are in the utility, I'm sorry, this is the net change, each year how much our net income, right? Revenue over expenses for utilities. This year it's $5 million. So in essence, we estimate we're gonna collect $5 million more than we're gonna spend in our water projects. Now that, or in our water utility. It doesn't mean we don't need that $5 million because we have huge projects coming up with water line replacements and lead and copper pipes and all those things. So we have intent for that reserve. Our water rate is at the right place, but we are collecting quite a bit more in revenue than we have planned for expenses over time. And you'll see that gets drawn down. And finally, in 2032, even holding the water rate steady and not doing any increases, that's finally where we kind of hit that break-even point, okay? Even with the construction projects that are in. The dark blue is the impact fee projects, and there are quite a few heavy lifts. They're the Zone 5 North, Zone 5 South, transmission lines, pump stations, and then eventually a Zone 7 tank as well. So there's a lot of pressure on that impact fee fund to collect enough to do that. With our estimates on collections, you can see that we're going further and further in the hole. So hit the button one more time. These are our estimated reserve funding balances. So this is fiscal year 2027. This is the budget you're adopting. The reason I didn't ask for a water rate increase is because you can see the water utility ending reserves are between $50 and $60 million in the utility fund. They are subsidizing the impact fee fund, which you can see runs into the hole eventually at $51 million. So you need to have that subsidization. I can't bring the reserves in the utility down because then I would be in the hole as a water fund. But hopefully eventually, or maybe even during this time period, we collect the impact fees to be able to pay for some of those projects and bring it a little bit out of the hole, more than maybe even our estimates. And then the red line is the combined balance of all of it. So no rate increases, I don't love it. You know me, I love to lift things a little bit at a time and be ready for. But I wasn't sure if I felt like I could do those rate increases in this budget when we've got $50 and $60 million in the utility fund and reserves. And while we have a plan or needs for water replacement lines, we don't have them in the 5-year plan to spend. So that would be why I did what I did, but it doesn't mean that that was what the council wants or what the council should do. The council can say we wanna do a 2% rate increase no matter what every year to make sure that we have what we need. I would support that. I just didn't feel like moving forward in the mayor's budget that would be wise.
So is it a long-term problem that the impact fees are, okay, so that is what you're saying is something that needs to be addressed?
It's a long-term problem. At some point, and Greg and I have talked many times, and Corbin's like, no, not yet.
So high, even with the reserves so high, it's a problem with the impact fee.
Yes.
Like it's not good practice to keep on.
We will not be able to, I don't think there's any way, even if we filled every single
There's no
solitary
way.
space of open space that we have that we'll collect impact fees on, I don't think there's any world we'll be collecting $51 million worth. Some point you're gonna have to forgive something in here. What it is, I don't know. But
Right now, as a city, right, we have southwest quadrant left. We have a little bit that Boyer has, and we have what Ivory has. And that's it.
yeah,
And those are only so many units. I imagine after you finish southwest quadrant, I'll know the build out units for the city closely, except for some stationary projects that will change a little bit. And so we're really limited on how many impact fees that we're ever really going to be able to get. And that's why we both agree the chances of us working our way out of the hole with future impact fees is probably.
Now, is this because we are forgiving them or?
Eventually, that's what we're gonna end up doing, because what happened is the impact fee, and I don't know the exact start of when it
it
would
was
happen.
adopted at a discount.
It was adopted as a discount because the councils felt that that's what was appropriate at that time. And I think you had a similar discussion when you talked about transportation impact fees earlier this year, right? You had a lot of choices. The councils then picked the choice they had. At some point, the consequences of those choices are gonna have to be felt. And ultimately, the ratepayers are the ones who are going to feel that.
So no, sorry. Go ahead, Corbin.
Well, Greg just said it. In a perfect world, impact fees pay perfectly for the cost of the new growth. When we get in a hole like this, the tank still has to get built. It just means that a tank that serves new growth is paid 60% by that growth and 40% by the city as a whole.
Yeah.
That's the impact of being in negative. So it's a problem in the sense that it's not ideal. And we would really like to have it better aligned. But there's not a dire consequence looming in the future because of this.
And remember, as Denise shows, waterfront's not gonna run out of money.
Right.
But at some point, the ratepayers are gonna have to forgive the impact
Okay.
side, the developer side, because it's just never gonna catch up.
So when developers come in and they ask us to waive their impact fees or discount them,
That's what happens.
That's what happens.
Yeah, the tank doesn't get cheaper. It just means the cost of the tank gets spread out by the taxpayers.
Utility payers.
Utility payers,
Yeah.
thank you.
The other thing that happens in an impact fee study too is we're predicting ahead,
Yeah.
right? And so I'll give you an example. A water tank for me before COVID cost $4 million for a 3 million gallon water tank. Zone 5 North is a little bit bigger, it's a 4 million gallon water tank. It's gonna cost 4 times more than COVID, so before COVID. So it'll be close to $12 million.
Okay.
And it's a little bit larger, right, but it's still that way. Cemetery was a 3 million gallon tank, it cost us 9 million, even though before COVID, it was costing under 4, right around 4, just a little bit under. So you can see, if you had planned all your impact fees and you had planned at pre-COVID costs, and then you never changed anything, by the time you got to today, even if you didn't change this, you would be in the hole.
Okay.
So what you're
Sometimes
saying
that's
is
what you
that
take.
that check I got from the federal government wasn't really free.
It was not free. No, it was not.
Okay.
But it also shows as you as a council, looking at impact fees at a more than just once once every 5 years, which is what we were doing, that puts you at a disadvantage when you look at those and see if you can update those to real construction costs quicker.
Yeah.
And it's better for you to get less in a hole like this.
Okay. So knowing this, and especially because Annette and I are new, current council or other council members who've been here longer than us, when you see this, does it make it easier for you to say no to discount impact fees or is that?
I think that's a good question for Jim. Right.
There's nothing easy about water.
Right, especially right now.
Or impact fees.
You're gonna balance economic development pressures and goals against the water fund, against the ability to pay for projects related to growth strictly from impact fees. That's a policy decision. And there's not a wrong answer, there's just hard questions that are gonna be posed to you in those areas.
Yeah.
You're gonna balance conservation and charge the fees for water against the political pressure to keep the cost of water lower. Water is hard because of all of these competing pressures.
The other thing I would say too is tomorrow's impact fee payers are also gonna be my ratepayers as soon as they get in their home, right? And there's some advantage to having more ratepayers as well. So it's not a simple question that you've asked, right? And that's why, as council, you guys face hard questions all the time.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, capital projects, there are gonna be $17 million proposed
Zach,
in water treatment. Huh?
I think Zach has a question.
Oh, Zach.
Yeah, can you back up one slide, to
Totally.
the 5-year things? What would the effect be on this slide and basically water revenues in general if we had a couple of really wet years?
My assumptions for water sales are based on, not our highest year, but our average year. So applying our average sales to our current fee structure is what I have said. If it was a really, really wet year, you're right, the revenues would go down, and we would end up using more reserves, I guess, in those years. Although you're seeing, go back one more. You'll see that we have quite a bit of leeway in 2027 and 2028, but that leeway really shortens in those next few years. So, you know, if you're gonna do a small lift on the rate, it would help those 29, 30, 31, and 32, so that they weren't as risky for those wet years.
And let me go back to
Yeah,
one
that's-
more. Hold on, I wanna show one other thing, right? If you look at our revenue, right, with the water sales, it's wildly different, right? So, you know, if you look at 35 or 2025 versus 2026, you know, there's a big difference. And if you went back even another year, that's just water sales, they go up, down, up, down. That's why I think they've done that. And if you look as well, if you look in 2025, right, we have other, which was 4 million, well, those are grants or other sources. And there are some times where we go to the state legislature and we get grants for tanks and stuff like that. That happened in COVID, we got a grant for a Zone 6 tank. We're asking now a grant for a Zone 5. Will we get it from House Bill 492? Will we get it? We don't know. So if we get it, that will also change some of the things we're talking about here, but we
That
can't
will
count on
alleviate some
that.
of those impact fee
Right?
imbalances.
We can't count on that.
Right. This is one of the things that I think is, something that we need to think about is, one thing the water board does is they call it a revenue stabilization fund. It's basically a portion of their reserves that when you have a dry year, you dump more money, you know, if we have higher than average sales, you dump more money into these reserves, and when you have a lower than average sales, you pull money out of these reserves. They call it the revenue stabilization fund to stabilize revenue. It certainly makes sense. My thought was, we don't have to necessarily pull money aside and say, okay, this is our revenue stabilization for wet years or dry years, or, you know, dry years where the governor and the water district and the city all say, hey, reduce your load by 10%. That should reduce our water sales by 10%, hopefully, right? So something that we would just want to consider as we do this is that fund balance in the water fund is a little different than fund balance in a solid waste fund or in a general fund or something else, because we actively try to sell less. We constantly preach conservation. We actively try to tell people not to use as much. And so the reserves probably need to be handled a little bit differently, because even in a wet year where we don't sell as much, or in a super dry year where we tell people not to use as much, and therefore we don't sell as much, our expenses don't really change a lot.
Right.
Our need, our water line replacements and then the other things that function, they change a little bit with how much water is flowing through the pipes, but they don't change as much as the actual sales do, as the revenue does. So just something to think about as we do this, and we see a large fund balance there, and we go, oh shoot, how much fund balance do we actually need in this, and what should our practice be? And that's something to consider, is that, well, this is the only fund where we tell people, hey, try to spend less, try to give us less. We don't do it on sewer, we don't do it on stormwater, we don't do it on solid waste. This is the only time, this is the only fund where we do that, and so it's gotta be looked at a little bit different.
And just as a side note, the water purchases are about 30 to 35% of the rate, right? So the rate represents the recovery of our staffing and the infrastructure and all that. And about 1/3 of it goes towards the actual purchase of water from Jordan Valley.
That's on the expense side, not on the revenue side, right?
Correct, right.
The revenues in this fund are almost entirely rates.
The revenue is all a rate, but I'm saying that the rate
Right.
is made up of 1/3 of the rate would represent the expense of 1/3. 1/3 of the rate would go towards purchasing water.
Right, the rest is to deliver the water.
Correct.
And to create facilities that can deliver the water, either a tank or a pump
There you
station or
go.
something like that.
So in a perfect year where everybody has got rain barrels and that's all the water they ever use for the whole year and we sell no water, we still spend 65 to 70% of our
Yes.
expenses.
Correct.
So that's perfect, that's making my point exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be helpful for you to know that percentage.
Okay, capital projects, we're proposing 17.7 million in water projects. Most of those projects are two water projects. It is a tank in Zone 5 North and also a pump station for that. Now, there are a lot of ones here. We do pay some developers when they build lines for us in areas we don't have lines, when they put down new streets. So you can see that. We do have we're still paying off on the well, and there is the tank. If you notice on here, I want to point one thing out. Last year, I want to say we did around $1.2 million in repair and maintenance. We've upped that to $3 million this year. We have a lot of lines in the city that are past their lifespan. They really need to be replaced. And so we are asking to up that. Do you have any questions on any one of these projects? Questions? Okay. Sewer funds, we are asking for, by the way, in water, we weren't asking for any fee increase. In the sewer fund, we are asking for a 5% increase. We're doing that because South Valley Water South Valley Water Reclamation Facility will be making improvements to their plant. And we don't wanna, when they finally pull the trigger on those improvements, we don't wanna have a huge shock to the system or to our residents of having to raise rates so much. If you saw last year, Jordan Basin, I want to say, raised their rates 20% in 1 year. We're really trying to avoid something like that. So Denise has been really good about just adding 5% every year so that when those required improvements do come in, and mostly those are for federal requirements and for thermal drying, but when those come in, that's when this increase will really make good sense.
Have they told you how much it will cost when they make those improvements? Or we're just estimating?
We have, I don't really want to bring this up in here.
Okay.
I don't want to give you sticker shock.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money, right? But they're gonna have to do it as part of the federal requirements. And
You just set the stage, just say,
Just rip the Band-Aid off.
it's somewhere, and you can help me with this, I'm just trying to remember. It's somewhere between, for the whole plant, which we're about 50%, right? Somewhere between 180 million and 250.
Yeah.
sewer plants are incredibly expensive.
Jordan Basin just did half of their
first.
improvements and they spent 400 million.
Good question.
It's for other cities too.
Yeah, it's like we won't be the only.
Oh, no,
no,
we are like 70% of it, so.
Right, Sandy goes into this, Midvale goes into this, there are some other little places
I
as
didn't realize
well.
we were 70%.
We are the lion's share.
We are the
by
largest, and there's a little bit of Jordan Basin that's in there, but they'll be phasing themselves out. And so that's where, in the future, we will be a large part of this. And so again, we're trying to put the rates and have a little bit increases so that when it does happen, we'll have some reserves. Most likely that'll be a bond, by the way, they won't come ask everybody for that money all at once. My guess is they will ask for a bond. And
Some
that
of
will
them
be-
have enough money to pay it in cash. They are very flush in cash. Some of those small districts have a ton of cash. It's the
Yes.
cities that we're gonna have to bond.
that are gonna have to bond. And you can see that's what we've done in the past, because right now we do have debt that we pay in bond payments to South Valley Water.
So there's a little note over here, our debt to South Valley Water will be paid off in 2031. So we're really trying hard to hold them off from some of these improvements and from bonding again until we're paid off, so that then we can take on more debt in a similar fashion. And so we're asking them to please just do what they need to until 2031 when our debt's paid off. There's also some things about how what sewer fees are affected by. As we have been working with our residents on leak alarms, which we hadn't been doing in the past, letting them know hey, you've got a leak going. We are seeing a ton of reduction in sewer fees because those leaks were being generated during the winter, and so some people were paying a lot higher sewer fee than they should have been paying because they had a leaky toilet. Now they're fixing all of those things, and we're actually seeing sewer revenue decrease because we're helping people conserve more water. So that's affected, and also food production, right? If Dannon decides to produce or not produce, or what it is they're producing, if they're doing water bottles versus yogurt versus another production type, or Papa Pita, or OSI Meat Factory, those are our largest water users, and so food production is a large consumer of our water and therefore a large consumer of sewer as well. So those kinds of things affect the revenue stream moving forward.
Also for the new council members, if you look on this, the biggest bill that we pay is to South Valley Water Reclamation. Our operation costs are a very small part of the actual bill that our residents receive. Okay.
So this is one that we want to discuss in June or July. We've got the rate study moving forward for both water and sewer, and we'd like to meet with the council in a non-budget kind of situation. Rates typically change in October, so we have some time to be able to evaluate those studies and decide what kind of strategy you want to move forward with. But on the sewer side, our operations and our costs don't fluctuate with use, really, outside of our revenue fluctuates with use, but our actual expense does not fluctuate. We have to pay the sewer treatment plant whether we give them sewage or not. So our fees don't adjust with our actual usage, sorry. We're bringing you a rate study. One of the things that we're gonna ask you to look at is, and we've had the council look at in the past, is a flat sewer rate versus a usage sewer rate. So as a council, we'll bring both numbers to you, we'll tell you how many people that would affect, but the majority of sewer companies just charge a flat rate because it doesn't fluctuate, right? We'll bring that information.
Flat rate for residential.
Flat rate for residential, not for commercial, yeah, thank you. Not for
Or a
anyone that's
food producer,
metered,
that changes.
it would not be a flat rate, it would be a flat rate for residential. So we'll bring you that information in a rate study, but we just want you to kind of be thinking about that. This is the same kind of chart that we just showed you on the net change, meaning revenue to expense, and the utility versus the impact fees. You can see that the impact fees are going negative every year, and that's based on the amount that we're paying on that debt service from that South Valley sewer. So a lot of the debt service for that was plant expansion, which had direct nexus to impact fees. So that's why that's going down, and that's why you see that quick change from a negative to a positive in 2032 because that debt comes off. But we know that they'll issue more debt and it will flip it back upside down. But on the flip side of that debt will be utility based and it will not be development based because our plant is already at the capacity we need. It would not be adding new capacity. Therefore, it would not be impact fee eligible. Okay. So the sewer impact fee was probably about right. Like it might have been about right. We'll take a little bit of
There's a lot closer
time.
than the water, we'll pay sewer off,
Sewer might be able to pay itself off.
which is
So
good news.
that would be really good. You gonna go to the next one real quick? And then these are the reserves. I lied, sorry, those net changes didn't do it. Darn it, no, you're fine. This is our reserves, that, again, we're not gonna hit it, I
Oh,
wasn't
darn
even
it.
thinking, I was thinking of just the net change, but
Yeah.
no. This is where we are gonna be after this year, we'll be negative $13.9 million. I don't know that we'll be able to collect what we believe was about $18.2 million over the
It'd
lifetime.
be better than the water though.
But it will be way better than the water
I think
fund,
it's
it will
gonna
not
be
be
way better
$51
than
million.
the water.
So, but you can see that the reserves in the sewer fund, because I am increasing the rate a little bit at a time, or recommending to you, sorry about that, at 5%, you can see that those reserves are increased in the utility fund, and you've got some healthy reserves in there. But if you were to forgive $18 million, then obviously the reserves would be right at 12 million, right? Which is a good healthy reserve for the sewer fund, but should they issue debt, we're just ready for it.
Capital projects, we don't have a lot of capital projects in sewer. Our biggest project is in 700 South. We have a project, the 700 South Banner Replacement Project. There's a place in 700 South where we have a problem when the sewer collects, where we have manholes that are turning to dust. And so we're really hoping that this project will change the slope of the pipes so that they won't emit, there won't be as much gas that's generated in those pipes. So the reason why the concrete manholes are turning to dust is because of high concentration of H2S gas. So by changing the slope, we'll change this area and we won't have to worry about a dramatic failure. So that's the reason why we're doing that pipeline replacement on 700 South. There are also some capital projects for pipeline replacement and manholes. We have some pipes that are very, very old. I don't see a lot of problems with clay pipes or with plastic pipes, but our city for a while used concrete pipes, and that H2O gas, it just feeds on concrete. So I am seeing problems with that. I'll probably come to you with another project at some point on 90th South where I'm seeing a pipe that is, we're seeing unusual wear in there. So it's easier to fix a pipe, just so you know, when it's in the ground than after, and intact than when it's not. When it starts to break apart, we have to dig it up and replace it. But if it's still there, I can put a liner, I can put a plastic liner in it.
Just like roads.
Yeah, just
Like
like
the roads, if we can take care of the ongoing maintenance regularly, it keeps the overall costs down than putting it off, and then having a big expense.
So that's the system maintenance for pipes and manholes are for us to fix those without having to dig up every road. Okay, stormwater fund. Again, there's not a big change in this. I don't see a fee change or anything like that. So let's go to the next slide here. Again, no rate increases. We have made some assumptions, but as you see, we're doing okay. Until we get to 23 and 2032, we'll see what happens. So we're gonna be there, but we still have to have reserves. Here's that net change again. And as you notice here, we also have a big problem with our impact fee there. Not as big as the other fees, and as you notice here, it looks like we're gonna get out. Do you have anything you wanted to say on this?
Oh, this one's good, actually.
Yeah, this is a good one. If you look here, here's our reserves and they look not so bad. $7 million is not a bad place to have for our stormwater fund.
Well, and I think it's, you'll see it in the next one, right, with the 3.5 million at Terrain.
Yes, let's go to this one.
There you go.
Right. Some of the bigger projects, right, are a detention facility at U-111 at Barney's Creek, which we're trying to put in so that we can better protect those properties that are east of SR-111. Terrain is also putting in a large system project. They're putting in a 48 and 54 inch pipe down 74 from SR 111 all the way to Mountain View Corridor. We have made an adjustment from what's in your book. It changes it from 2.5 to 3.5. Reason for that is the original cost we had was what we had in a master plan. The 3.5 million is the cost we got from the contractor. So you're looking at pre-COVID versus post-COVID here. Again, I don't think that's going to be a problem. This is an impact fee project, so it will be paid for out of our impact fees, which we do have extra in our impact fees right now. Do you have any questions about any of those projects that are up here? Okay,
Woohoo!
thanks, Denise.
All right, last one is the IT fund. This is an internal service fund, so the entire IT staff and all technology is paid out of the IT fund, and we put an allocation out to all the departments and all of the funds that contribute towards the IT fund. So you'll see that we do assessments, so between 4.6 and $7 million. The increase is that we've added a lot of technology over the last couple of years, and in doing so, we believe that we're increasing our efficiency and increasing our service level as well. So
In response to this cyber attack, right?
yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We've got much stronger security in place. We've replaced our infrastructure at a greater level. In fact, recently, which I don't know if I even reported yet to Corbin, but we have a machine called a SimpliVity. It's from HP. It's a server, but it was critical in us recovering our data out of the cyber attack. But it had reached its useful life of 10 years. We went to replace it, and the cost of that device tripled, and we were freaking out at the price tag. We had a very short window that we could get it. So the price tag was $890,000 for this one server, but it's a critical piece of our infrastructure. We had a very short window where we got a quote for $500,000 and we just pulled the trigger. We're like, we're done, we'll buy it, that's the one we want. So we actually received it last week, and it was for the $500,000. So we're super excited about that. But yes, we have put a lot of investment into our infrastructure.
Sorry, the cost of information technology infrastructure going like this, you mentioned due to the cyber attack. That's also due to some critical investments in technology. CityWorks, we made a big investment in CityWorks that started 15 years ago with the asset management system on CityWorks and Public Works and Public Utilities, and then we doubled down on the PLL side for community development to do all of our permit licensing plan reviews for CityWorks. Last year, we made a big commitment to go forward with Workday to dramatically increase the value proposition to the staff and the public, but at an expense by putting in Workday and Una and all of the
Una is our budgeting software.
the budgeting, finance, utility, HR software. That was a big ad, and we've made some really big ads in technology with police. Between the body cameras, the evidence tracking, the FUSIS, which is in the budget for this year, which is the coordinated efforts of all the cameras, and then the AI assisted police reporting. All of those are areas where, in addition to the cyber attack, we made intentional technology increases and investments, but it adds up, it's expensive.
We are also replacing our utility billing system as well.
Yeah.
So all of those ads have added up to a price tag, but they're increasing our service level and bringing us to a place where we're actually in this century. No, I'm just kidding, in this decade. So the assessments are coming in from all of the funds. That's the only source of revenue for the IT fund. And then operations is all of the personnel, operations, equipment, some of that kind of thing. And then we call out particularly the communication system. So this year, our communication system is our cell phones, all of our pucks, all of our radios, that kind of thing. We're bringing in we've asked for a consultant to be funded this year in the IT fund to evaluate that usage and what's the best usage for us. What are the best plans for us to use? Who needs a city-issued cell phone versus a stipend? Those kinds of things. So we'll be evaluating that, and we're hoping to find some savings there in the future. Equipment and minor projects is our equipment replacement plan for things like the SimpliVity server and other servers overall in IT. And then our contracts and leases, that's our biggest expense, and that is the contracts for all of the software that supports the city overall. So you can see that's about $4 million next year. And then software implementation is the implementation cost for these one-time implementations of this new software. We're bringing the fund balance down about $1 million this year. It was pretty high, and so we are asking to bring it down a little bit. Use the reserves a little bit. Ads for 2027, we're adding Axon Fusus for the police department, Community Connect for the police department, which is case management, so it's more of an electronic case reporting back to the people that are reporting to the police department on a case. PrimeGov for community development for ALJ, and there's one more. What else is it using for? It's ALJ and Planning Commission?
Well, Planning Commission, ALJ, and I think there's one other one.
Yeah.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
And then some cash receipting software, which we need to coordinate with Workday and our utility billing software. Some of the minor projects that are included in the budget are upgrades to the police community room and training room over at the Justice Center, Public Works Building Wi-Fi, and the Justice Center Wi-Fi. So that's about $174,000 of one-time costs. I need to amend the 5-year plan on the IT assessments. Councilmember Whitelock brought it to my attention that we drove the plan into the ground and became negative, and I hadn't noticed it. So we're gonna have to increase the assessments in 2029 forward to about 7% instead of 5%. So if we do that change, we go to a 7% increase per year, right, year over year, just like the sewer fund increased 5%, this would be the assessments for the IT fund increase 7%. It's a little more aggressive than almost any of the other funds, only because the cost of IT is just going up tremendously, and that has a lot to do with the implementation of AI worldwide. Lots of places are buying up all of the memory, and that leaves memory to be at a premium, which means all of our laptops and cell phones and everything that has memory in them the cost is increasing tremendously. But you'll see our reserves, we're holding at about $1 million to $1.6 million over that whole time period, assuming a 5% increase in contracts year over year.
One of the things we think about often with IT and software is, if we buy this software, will it provide more value to the public than a commensurate staffing amount? In other words, if a software costs $100,000, could we get a staff position for $100,000, and which would get more work done? The software for all the other employees to use, or the added position? So we kind of informally evaluate all of these software and technology asks against that comparison to try to make sure that this fund has increased and will, but it's come at the value of not increasing the other parts of the city faster than we are.
And I think that you can see that when Chief Robertson reported to you on his budget. He's asking for technology instead of additional officers, and he's saying, I can keep my service level the place where you want it to be, but if you give me this technology, we just bring it right to the next level that we couldn't do even by adding officers. So some of those responses.
I went on a ride-along with the police, and there was some incidents that happened, and we spent a couple hours on that, but most of the time I was with the officer that I went with, most of that time was spent in him writing a report. And I just was like surprised by that. I didn't imagine the police spend hours and hours writing a report on one incident. And so to have that software helping them write their reports, that's incredibly valuable.
It can put it in top
And that's
several
just- and that's
officers
just
back on
one
the street,
piece.
right?
Yeah, it can put them back out doing the thing that they really love to do anyway, right?
Absolutely. Or, evidence storage. Our police, records clerks were spending hours and hours just watching video, right, of the whole incident so that they could pull pieces or redact or whatever they needed to do. And the evidence storage under Axon is tremendously helpful in just pinpointing exactly the event that they're looking for and providing that easily without having to rewatch the whole thing. So they've just saved a lot of time in police records and in the police actual working on the streets, so. Thank you for your time and investment. If you have any other questions, we are done with what we need to, and your next meeting or the rest of this meeting, whatever you'd like it to be, can be deliberations on anything that you want to talk about.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank the staff for being a part of this. It was an extra meeting. Appreciate you taking the time to do that. I know we've, some of our discussions have gone a little longer and others and caused people to keep being bumped week after week. And that's frustrating, especially when, you've already worked a full day. So I appreciate you guys being here today to go through all this. It does mean a lot to us. So I won't be here next week for the meeting. I don't know when exactly I'll be able to get online, but I definitely won't be here for the committee of the whole part where some of this stuff is discussed. I know Councilor Whitelock has some stuff to maybe think about in terms of, making amendments to this. One thing I would like to just point out again, is that this time that we've had has been to hear from the different departments and to ask questions as to why we have the tentative budget. Next week, what we'll be casting our votes on is accepting the tentative budget. This in no way means we are accepting the budget. We're accepting this and the notes, the notes and everything that we've heard. We now have a couple months to massage and do things and make the amendments. I don't know what'll happen in next week in the committee of the whole, but no, from my point of view, we don't need to make a lot of wholesale changes at this time because we have 2 months to work through them. If you see some very glaring things, have those ready and discuss them and talk about them. This is why I brought up the bit about the beat days. Not as a thing we should definitely do, but here's something we can consider and talk about more if we need to going into the next 2 months before we hit August 25th and we have to put forth a budget at that time. I also ask that you kind of keep in mind that, this is a huge budget. You're not going to like everything in the budget. But if you like 95% of the budget, don't feel like you have to hold up the budget for the 5%. Because the entire city depends on, the budget coming through. And so,
So Bob,
Yeah.
the agenda next week in committee of the whole is discussing the
I believe, was there anything else that was added in? I think it was just,
It's just budget.
this is kind of why we did this meeting today, was to clear away as much as we could so that it could just be one to focus on that.
I'm also not likely gonna be able to make it here for next week's meetings. I'll be out of town. And there's something that I've been thinking about quite a bit. I'm wondering if I could bring up during this meeting,
Yes.
just because I likely won't even be able to tune in, I'll probably be in the air all the time, so. Anyway, something I've been considering and wondering about is the addition of the full-time staff member in the passport office.
I know you were interested in that.
I'm interested in that, yes. we're removing, as it's been proposed by the mayor, two part-time positions and adding one full-time position. And I think that full-time position is extremely important. I reached out, sent an email to Tangi Sloan about it. And, she said that the one full-time position adds a lot more stability to the office. It's really important to have. It's important to have two people in that passport office at all times, because if somebody calls in sick right now, if one of the part-time folks doesn't show up or something, they actually pull somebody from customer service into the passport office because they've been cross-trained. And I think it's awesome that they're cross-trained, but I'm also concerned about the level of service in the in customer service when we are having to pull people out of customer service to take care of holes that exist in the passport office. So what I the way I understand it is we're giving up two part-time positions to get a full-time position, and Tangi explained to me in the email that actually adds a lot of stability in the office, because a full-time person is much more reliable.
Right.
And I guess my concern is that even full-time people get sick, there's problems. I think it would add a lot of stability to the passport office if we were to allow that office to keep, maybe instead of the two that they currently have, to keep one part-time employee, and along with the one full-time employee that's already been requested. So instead of eliminating the two part-time employees, let's eliminate only one of those, is what I'm proposing,
And add a full-time.
and still add that full-time. I don't think it'd have a huge impact on, well, it wouldn't
would
have much
add to the-
impact on the budget, because the passport office is already a net positive for the city. So the things I worry about is like, okay, if our customer service starts to go south in the passport office, and we get negative reviews, like I know the negative reviews on Google would affect my business. It's also going to affect the business that we receive in the passport office if we're not keeping a high level of quality service in that office. So I'm just going to propose to the office, and Councilmember Jacob, if you're still listening,
I am.
I'm proposing that we keep one of those part-time positions, still eliminate one of them, but keep one of those part-time positions and the new full-time position, just to have a little wiggle room in there, and to really maintain the high level of service that our passport office has come to be known for. When you look at the Google reviews on our passport office, they're top. We're a model agency.
Yeah.
And
And that wouldn't increase the property tax rate?
no, it wouldn't, at least not, I mean, I guess we could ask the people who really know over here.
Mhm.
But the passport office is a net positive to the city, right? So they bring in more money than they spend.
Yeah, it would still increase because of whatever money paid, but now did you talk to Ms. Sloan about this idea of both?
I went and asked her about it today in her office, and she tried to stay neutral about it.
I did just say, I talked to her about it as well, and she was like, we can get by with the full-time. But she did seem to, but if you gave us more, we'd be happy. So I'm interested about that. We can look into possibly that. Again, those are discussions we can do over the next couple
So
of months.
process-wise, if we were to do that, would that be put on the budget next week? Or would that be part of the
It's something we can add
discussion
during
post
the
tentative?
upcoming months.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me be clear
I
about
would-
the tentative budget and what you're sorry, Zach. I'm sorry, Councilmember Jacob.
Go ahead.
So what you will be doing, on the 9th is, adopting a resolution with the intent to exceed the property tax rate, right? That's gonna say what you all have said, or a majority of you have said, you would agree to in that property tax impact schedule, right? There's anything that you wanna change in that, you change it that night. However, you can change it anytime over the next 2 months, but that will set the maximum amount that you can increase property taxes. After that point, you will not be able to increase property taxes above the amount that you intended, okay? The tentative budget becomes a standing budget, so what we will do, Becky and I will do over the next few days is provide amendments to the budget, and they will be listed. There's a document at the beginning of the budget that will say changes to the budget. And so when you adopt the tentative, you would adopt with these proposed changes, right? A change to the 5-year plan for the water fund, or remove the banking fees from the development services fund, or add another part-time person to the passport office. Like, if there's things that you've already got a majority of the council opinion on, then we are going to be changing the budget for that. So things that the staff have said, take out that trail grant, or we'll need $8.4 million for the multi-purpose fields instead of 5. Like, those are things that are really not budget impactful because we're reducing this year's budget, increasing next year's budget. There's no increase or decrease to the property tax impact schedule. But that budget will stand as an operating budget on July 1st. And anything that is not on the property tax impact schedule will be allowed to be spent. So you need to know that whatever you're adopting can be changed over the next 2 months. And you can amend the budget at any time over the next next 12 months. But that what you are adopting becomes an operating budget. The only thing that is untouchable are the things that are on that property tax impact schedule. And those are not allowed to be spent after July 1st. Okay? And you won't.
Until the truth in taxation process is.
Right, till September 1st. Yeah, so you won't adopt a budget your next meeting. There'll be deliberations, and during that meeting, we will give you worksheets during this next week that will say, these are the changes that we know about that are housekeeping items, right? But the council will need to direct us during that meeting if there's some sort of change that we wanna make, and then we will be adopting on the 23rd. Is that right?
The 9th, we adopt a tentative,
Okay,
and the 23rd, we adopt the interim.
okay, so there can be
The
changes
interim-
during that 2 weeks.
The interim is what authorizes. The tentative is for additional discussion. The interim is what authorizes effective July 1.
Yes,
Okay, so
Other than the
it's
property
not
tax.
an operating budget until adopting the interim budget.
right, which will be June 23rd, so there's not a lot of time. That deliberation next week will be critical because we need time to make all the changes on our
So
site.
that's when you need to know if there's something different than what is in the mayor's budget.
That you don't want to happen after July 1st, that is not on the property tax impact.
Especially with the property tax rate, because that's what we need to have that advance notice to.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention for the benefit of the council. on-
And we do
sorry.
have Councilmember
Councilmember
Jacob
Jacob.
who would like to
Yes.
speak
Oh,
at
yeah,
some point.
sorry.
So, go ahead, Councilmember Jacob, if you wanna talk, just make sure we don't overrun you.
Yeah, no, I'm 5 minutes ago now, but,
Sorry.
no, I wanted, that's okay, this is all very important information and good to know. I was gonna chime in on Councilmember Shelton's, proposal on the passport office. And I just wanted to note this is a great example of where you can focus on the short term, oh, but look, it costs more. Or you can focus on the long term of, oh, but look, it saves money in the long run, or it makes us money in the long run, or it provides us with better service or whatever. this is one of those where you can say, yeah, a full-time person, you gotta pay in benefits, and so it costs more than two part-time people. That's true. But you're also replacing them less often. You're saving turnover expense, you're saving training expense, you're saving, reduction in service levels, and all of these other things. And this is a great example, and this kind of thing pops up all over the budget. The more you do this, the more you see this exact kind of trade-off around every corner. And you see that it's sometimes worth it to buy something now that costs a little more, in this case, an employee's benefits or whatever, for the future savings and the future impact that it will have on service levels and just a better off city in the long run. So some people you'll always have somebody who says, how dare you spend more of my money than you absolutely had to, and it's hard to know how to exactly explain that we're actually trying to save you money in the long run, or we're actually trying to provide you this service that people want, or this level of service that we need, especially when it comes to like police and fire and those kinds of things. So I just wanted to chime in. Kent mentioned it really, really well as far as the impact that Tangi put out in her email and why it's something that I think would be a long-term benefit. None of us get a bonus if we turn a profit, right? None of us get paid more if the city brings in more money than we spend. We don't have profit sharing plans or anything like that. We're just trying to do the best job we can for everybody in the city, and sometimes that involves spending a little more now so that we don't spend a whole lot more later. And it comes up over and over and over again. So I just want to say, well done pointing that out, Kent, and it's exactly right.
Thank you. One thing that, when I was speaking to Ms. Sloan, she's concerned about the stress levels and the mental health of her one full-time employee that she currently has. She feels like that person is super valuable to their team. And I know it's a man, I don't know his name, but,
Arnold.
sorry?
His name is Arnold, and he is super valuable.
I asked her what would happen if you lost him, if he went somewhere else, and she said it would be devastating to the passport office. So my thought is if we give them a little wiggle room in one additional employee that's just part-time, that it might help Arnold to not feel as much stress, to feel like that the city has his back if he's not able to come to work one day or something like that. I don't know, She did mention that she felt like her staff members are under a great deal of stress.
Well, I think going through this budget, and I haven't in any budget we've had, I don't see these frivolous, kind of asks go through. I talked to department heads and said, I need you to tell me what it will take to make this city run well, not just limp. And so that's why I think they've done that here. Was there any more you needed to say, Alan, on some of the stuff?
I was just gonna say, the one other critical piece that Becky kind of alluded to on the 9th is you will set the property tax increase rate, which the mayor's budget proposed 2.26. So if you're thinking as earlier today, beat days and maybe funding that or doing something a little different with that property tax rate, once you define that on the 9th, that is set.
But we could go below.
You can go
Yeah.
below, but it's a ceiling, you can't go
And that's why I was
higher.
saying earlier, we don't need to jump it. That's something that's a trigger we can pull later.
You could even just say, we wanna go to 3% and this is how we're gonna identify that, right? I mean, it could be CIP funding or it could be whatever. if you wanted to set that a little higher so that you had time to.
Oh, I see.
But with that,
To
if we decided later that we wanted to add that half,
Yeah, that's why I was asking.
that person, that we wouldn't be able to unless we
wouldn't be
took some
able to.
other stuff out. So
Right,
something,
So I guess my question is it appropriate now for me to ask the council for a vote on adding that to the mayor's budget?
knowing that we could always take it away if we decide later.
I don't know
yes,
if that's
or-
appropriate for me to ask or not.
It,
No, but maybe an opinion.
well, it's definitely something that could be talked, you won't be here,
Yeah.
so it,
I won't be here next week too.
real quick, Corbin, what you said, you need to say, and then we can talk about that.
Yeah, remember, it's committee of the whole, right? It's not a
Right.
main meeting, so,
Right.
if you're asking for opinions, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down to gauge interest. That helps us as staff. My ask, Councilman Shelton, is if the mayor's proposed budget is balanced. If you are asking to essentially add a half a position to the passport office from what's been proposed, it'd be about $25,000 expense. You need to keep it balanced with the $25,000 revenue. So it's either $25,000 more in the property tax increase, or that's $25,000 cut somewhere else. But in your proposal, my ask is keep it balanced, right?
Yeah.
Recognize there's an added expense, there's gotta be a cut or an added revenue somewhere to go with it.
So if we just took it out of Corbin's salary,
I was just thinking the
we'd
same thing.
balance right away. These are the
I don't
kind of
think
tough
Corbin's
decisions
gonna
we
be in
have to
favor
make.
of that.
Sacrifices.
So with that,
Could take it out of my salary.
maybe what we look at is
We'd be in the
having you
hole.
tell us
Yeah.
what that would be, what that would increase the rate to. And then that can be something that the council could talk about on the 9th. You'll be leading that. I think obviously, Councilmember Shelton is for that. I would be for that. And so you can just see what other,
I am not yet convinced,
Yeah.
Councilor Shelton.
no, that's fine.
I think 2 full-time in the passport office for this next year could be enough.
I'm estimating it would go from 2.26 to 2.38.
So we'll hear how the others can go on that. I just, since Councilor Shelton and I won't be here for that meeting. As for my thing, since I won't be there, the main thing I gave you was that thing we could do later with the, if we feel we needed to do something. That was one with the beat day, something that could be pulled out of reserves. It would mean the upper increase, but I also feel if we went that route and beat days is a hit, people are gonna be a little more okay with it going, yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
So, and it is going to increase if we do it, it likely could increase another couple 100,000 next year regardless of what we do this year. So, something to think about in that regard, but again, I leave that as something we have, something we have that we can use if need be. A lot of that will come down to what you hear the 9th in the council meeting. If there's much in the way of people,
People would know that they can come to give public comment.
Yeah.
on the 9th.
oh, that's the big thing about what the 9th is for. And I know in the past, we've had it where, we were wondering what we were gonna get and hardly anyone shows. But
We have a big agenda on the night, so.
Okay, noted.
yeah, well, it's all of these things we've been talking about. Plus a couple, I think there's the one fee waiver that has to be done.
There's a couple land uses, there's a fee waiver, and then a whole bunch of budget stuff.
So,
And we can probably go
nice
over
week to
that
be gone.
more
An
in
airplane going somewhere.
leadership meeting on Friday. And Councilmember Shelton, if you're here Friday, you can come to the leadership meeting as well on Friday.
Actually, I'm leaving Friday.
Well, then I take away your invite.
My daughter's moving to Arizona.
Oh, it's the big move.
Anything else that members of the council would like to discuss in this as we get ready for this? Yeah, I appreciate you guys being here. Councilmember Jacob, I appreciate you being on remotely as well. And providing some good, as someone who's been here longer than any of us, we're all kind of the newbies, the four of us here.
Yeah.
And I appreciate again the staff for being here, including our council staff and other members, those that had to be here. But I think we're pretty much done. See no further work to be done. I will adjourn this meeting.